My sister-in-law made offensive jokes, so I called her out.
As you should.
That's right. Call her out. To give a bit of background, I, 30 female, moved to the UK nearly 7 years ago from the US. I was able to get a UK passport from my father, who immigrated to the US where he met my mother. She actually fled to the US from South America. After university, I decided to live and travel throughout Asia and the Middle East for a few years, teaching English in poor and sometimes dangerous areas before I finally made the decision to go back to my roots and move to Europe for good.
That sounds like a cool life.
Sounds like a cool life. And all of this is important for later. So put your ICUs in the chat if you see what's going to happen. By the way, this comes from History Metalhead 13. And if you want to submit your own stories, rock on over to r/OKStorytime and send them in. Now, 4 years in, I met the love of my life and we got married. We decided to buy a house in the countryside. And as we were getting things ready with the mortgage, his family was kind enough to let us move into their home for the time being. This was a massive change for me, but I didn't care as I grew to be a part of his family, including his only brother, Matt, who I consider to be the brother I never had. My husband and I were there whenever Matt went through breakups and gave him dating advice whenever he was seeing someone until he finally met Vicky.
Is Vicky good or bad? Maybe it could be until he finally met Vicky.
Feels evil, like
feels
icky
evil.
Vicky.
Icky Vicky.
Icky Vicky is the vibes.
Oh man.
Sorry
to any Vickies out there.
I'm not. Just kidding. When we met her, we thought she was sweet, down to earth, and didn't take herself too seriously, which is what Matt needed. But over time, she started to display questionable behavioral traits. Once at the dinner table, I said something about being Latina, and she said, well, at least you're not a dirty Indian.
It's a questionable?
That's just oh my God,
that is
bro.
crazy. OP called that questionable.
Wow.
Holy crap.
Golly.
Oh my God. Oh, that is, she should not babysit.
Yeah. That's
a job that I don't want her to have.
Maybe not destroy my child's complete self-esteem and sense of identity.
Yeah, geez,
that would be great.
She is
to
terrible.
not happen. So, mind you, my husband Matt and I are all for some dark humor, but that comment almost knocked me off of my chair.
Is that humor?
That is no. That is no. In fact, I don't think we all think she said what she said because it was so out of the blue. Like they were almost like, did she even just say that? She was obviously trying to be funny, so we all laughed. Ooh. But it was obvious that it made us uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, another time, I took my husband to Turkey for his birthday, and I sent a video to our family group chat of him sunbathing by our hotel's pool with the sound of a call to prayer echoing from the Blue Mosque in Hagia Sophia.
I see you.
This is going to be so bad. This is going to be...
I see you the exact thing that's going to be said because I'm not, but I know there's coming.
It is tragically just about to happen. So as a response, she texted, that sound would freak me out, clearly suggesting like it was a self-harm bomber. No, OP, no. I can see how that would fly over people's heads, but I knew what she was talking about. But I get it. She has never been to the Middle East. So as someone who has lived there, I took the time to educate her on what that call to prayer is and how it's actually beautiful.
All right.
Go.
Again, I think in the context of the last comment, I would like it feels a little charged, but that comment in isolation could potentially not be. It's like, oh, that would freak me out not knowing what it was.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the self-harm bomber thing is like I wouldn't necessarily make the connection to that.
Yeah.
Or would you? I don't know. Like,
don't,
out of context, I don't know if I would.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess we don't know what I don't know if the other texts is what would make more sense.
I feel like it feels in the context of what she said last, but not in like I wouldn't necessarily. I feel like this is way less aggressive than the last one.
So I educated her on that was a call to prayer and how it's actually beautiful,
which is great. I think that's exactly what you should do.
Absolutely. However, it wasn't until yesterday when I had had enough of her closed-minded remarks that she clearly is trying to pass off as lighthearted jokes. As I mentioned, the family has a group chat where we send memes and jokes to each other. More ICUs in the chat. As you can imagine, Vicky sometimes doesn't know how to read the room and sends inappropriate memes to the family. Yesterday, she sent a meme that was a picture of a huge group of immigrants on an inflatable raft in the middle of the ocean with the caption that said, "Where's Jaws when you need him?" Oh my God. I mean, Opie's saying like, oh, she's trying to pass it off as a joke, but like, that's just like saying the thing. Opie's just saying the thing right there. It's crazy to share it anywhere, but in a family group chat, dude, my husband thought it was too much, and so did his mom. I, on the other hand, was like, hell to the absolute and definite F no.
Thank God. Stand up for yourself, Opie.
Yes. I was this close to going on the group chat and calling her out for the bigot she was in front of everyone, but my husband stopped me. So I decided to spare the drama and DM her. I told her that was an effed up joke, especially considering she knows that both of my parents are immigrants in which my mom had to flee her own country. She immediately started apologizing and saying she didn't know, which I found hard to believe. We've known each other for a year and we've discussed this before, so she's either stupid or lying. She immediately deleted the meme off of the chat along with the gif of her giggling about it as a response to my mother-in-law reacting with the shocked face emoji. Dude.
This group chat is cursed.
Golly. This morning, she sent me a long paragraph about how she is upset, that she upset me and that she loves me and that I'm like a sister to her. I appreciate her apologizing at all, but it really gives me the ick to associate with anyone who thinks it's funny about wishing death upon a certain type of people. Is she that close-minded, or is she that desperate for attention that she's trying to get it in the wrong way? I completely understand that she doesn't come from the same background as me or have the opportunities to travel like I did. Therefore, it's natural to be ignorant, and I don't want to have a fallout with Matt. And this has nothing to do with politics or anything like that. It's just a cruel thing to say, and there is such a thing as a bad joke. So, would I be the a-hole if I flat out call her out for being discriminatory / a bigot the next time I see her and distance myself from her, or should I just accept her apology and drop it?
I guess it's like, do you want peace? Do you want justice? Or do you want education? Right? Like, it's like, it depends on what you want. And because you're the one affected by it, I think you can choose what you want, right?
10 trillion%.
If you want peace, then I probably just ignore and distance.
Yeah.
If you think she can re-enter your life because she's in your family, you might want a little 1-2 combo of admonishment and education. But I think you could just create distance, and that would be okay too.
Yeah. Like, she was like, oh, I appreciated her apology, but I just like don't want to be around her.
Yeah.
Yes, 1,000%. And I think it's a very fair thing to say. Hey, it's like, yes, I appreciate that you acknowledge what you did was wrong, but that doesn't mean that I'm now just going to be like hanging around you all the time and still potentially subject myself to that. No. But
No.
we have an update. We have an update, ladies and gentlemen. So last I left it, I said that Vicky sent a long paragraph with a dramatic apology saying that I am like a sister to her. But after reading a few comments, I realized a few points. First off, how can she consider me like a sister when she clearly doesn't know me and never even cared to know me? Secondly, Vicky is only apologizing because she got called out, not because she realizes that the meme she sent was out of line. I could probably forgive her if this was an isolated incident, but it wasn't. As I mentioned, she made discriminatory comments twice before, but never got called out for it. And now that she has, she's all of a sudden apologetic. No one had ever said anything. I guarantee she would still think these kinds of jokes are okay. I ignored her apology at first, but when Sunday came around and she and Matt were planning to come out for the family dinner, she texted me again asking if, quote unquote, we are okay. The only reply I could give her was, I accept your apology. Let's put it that way. So it didn't take long for her to cry to Matt about it, like the brother-in-law basically, who then called his mother to complain about how mean I was being and how they are scared to come to dinner for fear of what I might say or stir up a bad atmosphere. Matt,
Punishing the wrong person.
Matt, that is
Punishing the wrong person. How about the person that's saying stuff,
dude,
point blank?
She's literally like saying, you know, that's her family.
Yeah,
that's it. That was in that.
I mean,
that was in
basically,
that picture.
it's like, hey, I hope everyone that looks like you just like unalives himself, and then be like that person be like, hey, why? Like that's like really effed up that you said that. You shouldn't say that, and then be like, hey, don't overreact. You should get out of this party.
I don't know what you're gonna say or we're gonna do. How about you? All I said was I accept your apology.
Yeah,
that's literally all she said. So I told my husband to try and explain to his mother that I am not one to cause a scene, especially in her house, which they were so gracious to let us stay in while we were moving houses. I have accepted Vicky's apology and will be civil. This means that if she wants to speak to me, I will listen and answer, but I will not go out of my way to speak to her. My husband and I were out for a bit seeing a friend before we had our family dinner. When we came back, there was Matt and Vicky sitting on the couch. The moment I walked in, Matt had this uncomfortable smirk on his face. It was the kind of smirk you make when someone you hate walks into the room and makes eye contact with you and you have to be nice about it. Vicky gave me a hi in the voice of a mouse and immediately started having a staring contest with the floor, which was fine considering I made zero eye contact with her throughout the whole evening. When we were at the table, I was chatty and made it seem like I was unbothered, while Vicky was across the table, acting all quiet and sad, making the situation awkward. Eventually, she texted Matt under the table saying that she wanted to leave once dinner was finished. Mom and Dad knew the reason why Vicky and Matt left so quickly, and they became upset. They had to go at my husband about why I can't let it go and how I was the one who made Vicky uncomfortable with the way I did not speak, let alone look at her once the entire time. Let me just break this down real quick. OP accepts her apology, but is just not going out of her way to be buddy-buddy with her. Matt and Vicky show up. They're not interacting. They're being avoidant. They're not talking with her. OP's still chatting, interacting, not making a point to interact with her because she had that meme of a shark eating what would be literally her whole family. And then the parents say, why is she making a situation and making everyone uncomfortable?
Again, blaming the wrong person.
OP is doing nothing. It is literally all Vicky. It is literally Vicky.
Vicky, dude.
We called it. We freaking called it. So I defended myself to my husband, saying that she and Matt were the ones who made it awkward from the second I walked into the room. Not to mention, if Vicky truly wanted to square things away, she should have pulled me aside to talk instead of thinking that things were going to be easily settled through a text message. By the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcast app, search OK Storytime. And we have a little bit left of this story. We're diving right in.
Oh, let's do it.
I always found her to be the type who constantly plays the victim, but now I feel like she's trying to rope the family into thinking that I am the a-hole just because I refuse to let a stupid joke, quote unquote, that was a mistake, quote unquote, to post, slide, and play nice for the sake of the family.
The thing is, this was like, it wasn't just one joke, it was the constant barrage of this kind of humor.
I don't know what to do, as everyone in the family is thinking that it's up to me to fix this, even though I wasn't the one that stupidly posted a crappy, stupid joke on the family group chat. Just to close things out, this is not OP's responsibility.
Nope. And OP is definitely not the a-hole for sure.
OP is not the a-hole in the slightest. The family is pinning all of this on OP, and that is exactly not what it should be. And as
amen, brother
says, it wasn't a stupid joke. This is true feelings being expressed by Vicky, and that is why it's
But hopefully it leads to some education or at least some distance.
Absolutely.
I gave up on my brother's problematic family. Am I the villain now?
If you were, what's so bad about that?
Hey, what's so bad about that? A bit of backstory. My family owns a duplex home in one of the most expensive cities in California. We thought it was a blessing in disguise because of how low it was, and we had already been renting out one of the houses from the owners before they decided to sell. And because they loved my mom so much for taking care of the old couple during the vid and all the years before, they wanted our family keep the home. By the way, this comes from user Unhappy Earth 7661, and if you want to submit your own story, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I was fairly new to the credit game, so I wasn't able to help with any of the legal stuff, but my eldest sibling was. He was going to put 10% down to help pay the loan, but that fell through because he's a butthole who tried to control my life and then wanted to give away my room to some 30-year-old that just got out of prison and needed a fresh start. But that's a story for another time. I have two siblings, unfortunately, so when the first one fell through, the second stepped up. He, at the time, was a father of two and one on the way and was living with his in-laws in a one-family home with one bathroom with three separate families living all together. Why? I don't know. Honestly, the house was gross. Sticky carpet, musky smell. Anyways, so then it was settled. He would take the smaller house, 2-bed, 1-bath, and they would get priority in the driveway due to sister-in-law working late hours while expecting. Then, when the baby was born, to protect the baby. I don't need much, especially having depression, I don't want much. So I rent the extra room in my parents' house, which is a 3-bed, 2-bath, one bedroom being used as the living room and my parents' room, and then mine, which has the second bathroom. I don't spend much time at home. Again, due to depression, I need to distract myself, and my main form of entertainment when I'm at home is my phone or laptop. This is relevant, I promise. I pay for my room. Along with that, I buy groceries with my EBT for my parents, and I pay for their subscriptions like streaming stuff. But I'm a single female, and right now my main focus is to not end up in a psych ward, dramatically speaking. When did the problem start? Well, it started with the laundry. They would send the youngest boy to wash his clothes or their clothes, but all he would do is stick them in the washer, overloading it, not add soap or anything, and then leave it there overnight, allowing them to smell, and then re-wash them. They would wash the same clothes up to 3 times because nobody would go check on it. My mother, being the Latina saint she is, would wash their clothes and fold them for them. Did they appreciate that? No. They pulled the nobody asked you to do that. Yeah, well, we kind of needed the washer too, so we would have to take it out since you don't do it even when we ask you, and she's just a nice person. Next, we got a dog. A pity that was destined to the pound, and we couldn't let that happen. Everyone loved the dog. For some reason, it made them want a dog, so they got a dog. The dogs are besties. They do everything together, including poop. They whined that they had to pick up my dog's poop from their side of the yard. What do they want us to do about it? Come over and inspect the feces and see which one belongs to which dog? Just pick it up, dude. We do it all the time. Sister-in-law is also mad that their dog spends most of its time at our side with our dog. But if you notice, the poor guy is left outside all day and sometimes until like 1 a.m. When one of the parents comes home from work, of course, he would rather hang out with his bestie and have a comfy place to nap and get treats for being a good boy. We have solar panels and we need to clean them or something. We didn't know what to do at the time because bills were coming in too high. Little more context. My parents and brother split the mortgage on the house. My room rent either goes to utility bills or sometimes something else that needs to be paid. I pay the least amount. I'm a single female. The amount my brother pays is roughly $1,700. So do my parents, but they pay other things. Back to what I was saying. We tried talking to them about this to see what could be done, and his first response was, "Why isn't she paying more?" Sir, you are a family of 5 living in a 2-bedroom house that the lowest asking range I've seen for is $2,300 a month, and that's without utilities included. How am I the problem? Plus, you have an 18-year-old high school graduate who plays video games from waking up to going to sleep. I mean, he could get a job. A job.
You ever think of that? What an idea.
Communication is another problem here. They just don't want to communicate about anything at all. We own this house. It is a family home. Whatever changes, we speak on it together. They don't like that. His responses to me when I would raise any concern was, "Why are you bringing negativity into my house?" They hate the way my parents speak. They're in their 60s, Latinos. Father has a deep, stern voice, and mother can't hear herself sometimes and speaks loudly. Both are very direct people. They are always accused of yelling at the kids. My dad is a grumper, so sometimes, yeah, he has raised his voice, but most of the time, it's just the way he speaks. I speak direct, too. Maybe it was a flaw in their parenting that the way we speak isn't soft and inviting. He always says, they're just not used to it. My response now, which should have been then, but I was a people pleaser who really wanted her older brother to like her because she has had no relationship with the eldest sibling. At that time, I'm just staying quiet. But I should have said, well, then get them used to it. There are people with much worse attitudes and tones out there that they're going to have to deal with, so stop babying these kids, 18 and 13-year-old boys. They keep acting all scared. The baby girl, 2 years old, loves screaming with my mom and thinks my dad is just a big grumpy teddy bear. She even wrestles the pit, but the boys can't handle a deep man voice talking to them loudly through the closed screen door. Get real. I'm apparently a wench. I try not to cuss because I demand things from them. Again, I'm direct. If I need something, I'll just say it. But I've always said my please and thank yous. I don't know what they expect from me. Speak to them the way I speak to my dog. I've decided to stop communicating with them because I got tired. They stressed me out more and more and hurt my feelings more and more. They showed blatant disrespect and disregard towards me and the outside world, and they lack any type of common courtesy. The only one I truly treat well is the baby, because she is a baby. I'm not mean to the others, but I just started matching their vibes. They'd take my clothes out of the dryer, sometimes still kind of wet, and leave it crumbled on the side. I started doing the same. They close the door whenever one of us passes by, so I do the same. I no longer try to come over and talk. I just nod at them in acknowledgement and move on with my day. I'm imagining that they have the house partitioned with like yellow tape, like the caution, like, Like everything's like, why are you
Yeah.
on my side of the hallway?
Right.
Hey, guess what? They had a problem with me doing that too. Brother complained to mother the way I treat the baby better than the other two boys. The two boys that lied in front of me when I told my brother about them not listening. The ones who make any janky excuse not to associate with us. And the ones who literally do nothing but stay at home and play video games. They are supposed to be taking care of their sister and leave her in dirty diapers and clothes all day. She sneaks off to my room to play with my makeup and gets her hair done. And do they allow that? Nope. Brothers come and take her away as if some rando was just taking her. And what do? They lock her away like Rapunzel. What I can't wrap my head around is that they know their situation is bad. I can hear it. The houses are connected. I can hear them complain that the 18-year-old spends his time at home all day but can't even wash the dishes. They complain about their clothes not smelling clean after the 13-year-old supposedly washed them. They're so dirty, stinky, lazy. And yet through all this, they don't accept help. They gaslight you into thinking you're the problem. But do they do anything about it? No. They continue with the endless toxic cycle, taking no advice and not searching for change. But think about it. They're a family of 5 paying $1,700 for a 2-bedroom home in an expensive city. They don't pay utilities. They have parking at all times, while I have to park on the corner of the street. And the worst they have to deal with is keeping their side of the property clean. A grumpy dad/grandpa, a loudmouth mom/grandma, and a depressed sister/aunt who was basically unaliving herself to keep the peace between households, only to be disrespected and disregarded. He constantly accuses us all of not trying, but as I overthink it all, I ask myself, how have we not? My mother's love language is acts of service, so she would offer to help clean and wash their clothes and watch the baby. I have somewhat of the same, but I like giving things, especially food. I'd make them breakfast, buy them food when I would go get myself food, even though they didn't ask. I'd even get food for sister-in-law while she was at work. So, for when she came home, she'd have something to eat and not have to make anything. I know my dad could be hard-headed and can be a very angry person, so I'd take the hits for them. I'd deal with his tantrums so they wouldn't have to. And by the way, I'm gonna throw a big old tantrum if I hear about you not listening to the full episodes with stories just like this on your favorite podcasting platform. Just search OK Storytime wherever you listen to podcasts. I don't know. I'm thinking the move here is, but it's like, yeah, you cut off any and all access between the two. Because clearly there's some kind of, they're seeing each other in the houses and stuff. So I don't know what the situation is, but it either needs to be like, all right, we're cutting it off and we're like separated and we're like basically just like neighbors now and we're not going to act like family, or it's like,
Yeah.
you just need to remove yourself.
Definitely at first. I feel like there's a chance. I feel like it's possible to kind of mend that relationship. And maybe at first do need to kind of just like give us some space. You know, clearly that's what needs to happen. They don't like us, you know, apparently barging in on their space or taking over. You know, I feel like if they had some conversations about it or did some sort of family bonding or just was like, how can I help you more? Like, from my perspective, it looks like I'm doing this stuff. What does that look like to you?
So, what is trying to them? Honestly, I got tired of trying. Like that scene in Encanto. I'm never going to be good enough for you, am I? That's all for now. If you made it this far, cool. Sorry for ranting. I just don't understand my brother and his family's entitlement. It's unreal and exhausting. I have more things to say, but I'm tired of typing. I still have a whole story of the other sibling. I honestly feel like it could be a series of stories. Self-absorbed eldest child, the dirty, lazy, entitled middle child, and the depressed younger child who doesn't know who she is and gets blamed for everything and is this close to crashing out.
That's the end of that story. I revoked my mother-in-law's baby monitor access because of her comments.
She was like, was she whispering dastardly things in the baby monitor?
I, 32 female, have a 3-month-old baby with my husband, 31 male. His mom lives across the country. We're on the East Coast and she's in California. And to be honest, she's always been a little intense. Not a full-blown monster-in-law, but definitely more involved than I'm used to. Like, she's the kind of woman who will call to say that she saw a cuter outfit for the baby than the one that I posted on Instagram. By the way, this comes from Valuable Kitchen 4377 on the Charlotte Dober YouTube subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Dakota.
I'm Riley.
And Opie says, anyway, when our baby was born, my mother-in-law asked if she could have access to the baby monitor so that she could see her grandchild grow up from afar. I was a little iffy on it, but my husband thought it would be sweet and would help her feel more connected since she can't visit often. So I agreed. We have a Nanit camera in the nursery, which lets you view the video feed from anywhere. What I didn't realize is that she'd be watching us all the time. Like, not just the baby sleeping. She comments on things that she has no business even noticing. Like the other day, I was front airbag feeding in the nursery, wearing a robe because it's more comfortable. And a few hours later, she texted my husband saying, "Tell OP I'd be happy to send her a nicer robe. That red one's looking a little raggedy."
Stop it.
That's weird. That's weird.
You stop. Quit it. Eye in the sky. Eagle
Yeah.
Eye. You're being the movie Eagle Eye with Shia LaBeouf right now.
Yeah.
Quit it.
So now when I go to front airbag feed my baby, I have to watch out for being watched.
Yeah, access is
Yeah.
revoked immediately.
Come on.
Well, I give one warning.
Yeah.
Say, and then as soon as it happens, the inevitable second time, it's cut
Yeah.
off.
Absolutely. Like, what? Excuse me? I was so creeped out. I mean, that was clearly during a private moment, not just the baby napping. I told my husband and he kind of just shrugged it off. He said something like, "She doesn't mean anything by it. She's just observant. I grew up like that. We never had real privacy in the house." Okay, but we're not kids anymore, and she's not even here. She also makes a weird little passive-aggressive comments. Like, if the baby cries for a while, she'll text things like, "Poor little guy, someone must have been tired today," or "I would have picked him up sooner, but you're the mama," which feels like she's judging me, but trying to play it off as casual. And she always acts like she's just trying to help, but it's in a way that makes me feel like I'm constantly being watched and judged. It's not mean, it's just kind of boundary pushing. So I changed the settings on the camera so she can't access it anymore. I didn't announce it, I just did it. She texted my husband asking if something was wrong with her app, and now he's mad at me for making it a thing. He says it was harmless, and now she feels cut off, and I could have just told her instead of going behind everyone's back. I told him I didn't think I needed permission to stop someone from watching me in my own house, and he says I overreacted. I feel like I'm losing my mind a little bit because to me this is a huge privacy issue, but maybe I'm being dramatic. I just don't want someone literally across the country watching me front airbag feed and make comments on my clothes and parenting. So am I the a-hole? Comment number 1 says, "Not the a-hole. Tell him you'll set up the nanny cam in his office / man cave and his mom can watch him. Solve both of their problems."
Yeah, there you go.
"Your parenting is between you and him. She is not a third parent, and it's high time that she was reminded of that." Comment number 2 says, "Revoke baby monitor privileges immediately and arrange the dad and baby to have video calls instead." Comment number 3 says, "Not the a-hole. That's invasive and creepy. I would feel incredibly violated if someone was always watching and making comments like that. If you are at all interested in compromise, full disclosure, I would not be. Maybe you can agree to turn it on at specific times so she can visit, like nap time or playtime."
Yeah. For these specific instances,
Right.
we have given you access to the camera.
Right, not just 24/7. Someone else responds, "She should ask the husband how he would feel if she sets up the camera in his room so mommy can have access to his private moments and make comments about him when he's half unclothed. When he says that it's not the same, and he will, ask him how it's okay for his creepy mother to watch her in a private moment versus him. Just because there's also a baby in the room doesn't make it any less weird that she can spy on them whenever she wants." And we do have an update, but yeah, I agree. That's just a lot, dude.
Yeah, strictly controlled access to the baby
Yeah.
cam from now on.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that she was also just like, "Oh, I would have done that differently, but whatever, you're the mom." It's like, girl, I didn't even know you were here with us.
Girl.
Like, that should be enough to just be like, "Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Sorry."
You are the fly on the wall.
Right.
The eye in the
And
sky.
you know what we do with flies? We swat them.
Swat 'em. Say, "Officer!" Don't act.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
call the SWAT team.
But there is an update. So after my husband and I cooled off from our little blow up, we ended up having a long heart-to-heart. I showed him some of the comments people left on my original Reddit post. A lot of you pointed out how creepy and inappropriate it was for someone to have 24/7 feed into our nursery, especially since she was commenting on me and not just the baby. He read through them quietly and didn't say much at first, but I could tell it was sinking in that even random strangers saw how weird his mother's behavior was. That led him to open up about his childhood more than he ever has before. He told me that he grew up in a house with basically zero privacy, which I was aware of, but then he started telling me a few stories. He said that there were no doors on any of the kids' bedrooms or bathrooms.
And why would you ever want to emulate that childhood? You're like, "I didn't grow up with any privacy." It's like, you
Right.
can now choose to change that.
Yeah.
My guy.
Because he probably just accepted it as like a way to cope, but maybe let's, once we're out of there, be like, "Yeah, that was pretty effed up, and I can be mad about it, and that's allowed."
I give you the gift of free will.
He said the only door in the house that was ever closed was his parents' bedroom door. His mom would walk in on him constantly, read his texts out loud to the rest of the family as a teen, comment on what he wore, even stand outside the bathroom sometimes if he was, quote, taking too long. He admitted that he's so used to that level of involvement that he never really recognized how invasive it was. He even laughed telling one story about how when he was 14, his mom replaced his jeans because he thought the wash was too faded, and she would check his laundry to make sure that she liked what he was wearing. When I asked him to imagine our son growing up with no bedroom door, no privacy, and his mom watching him on camera from across the country, something finally clicked. He said, wow, I guess that is weird.
Yeah, that
You
is.
silly goose.
It is a really good showcase of like when you grow up in a like weird environment, you don't understand that it's weird.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
If you don't have a frame of reference for what's more normal.
Right. That would be the kind of thing where like if like a kid says something about that, like telling some sort of stories or something like that, and like, oh yeah, like I slammed my doors and I got in trouble, and then OP or this guy is just like, yeah, I couldn't slam my doors because we're not allowed to have doors on our bedrooms or bathrooms. The teacher would be like, oh, oh, okay, interesting. Tell me more. You know, that'd be that kind of thing. I explained that while I know his mom doesn't mean harm, her constant commentary makes me feel like I can't be the mom that I want to be. That I don't want to raise our child in an environment where someone is always watching and second guessing me, even if it's done under the guise of helping. To his credit, he listened. He really listened. He told me that he hadn't realized how uncomfortable it made me and that he understood why I shut off her access. He even admitted that it was unfair to expect me to run my choices as a parent past his mom first. We ended up agreeing on some boundaries. She won't have live access again, period. If she wants to see the baby, we'll send photos and videos on our own terms. If she has suggestions, she can share them with both of us respectfully instead of commenting like a live sports announcer. He also promised to back me up next time she pushes a boundary instead of brushing it off. So for now, things are better. I know this won't magically solve everything with my mother-in-law, but I feel like my husband and I are finally on the same page. And that was honestly the bigger issue. And I think it would be a gigantic, huge issue if you didn't check out full episodes with more stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. Just check it out.
You can do it. In the words of Rob Schneider. You can do it.
You can do it. Go ahead. There is a little bit more to the story, but these are great boundaries. Hubby's on our side.
I like these.
Is
We have helped him see the light.
Yes,
We
finally.
really have.
But there is a little bit more to the story. Ooh, the story. So we do have some comments. Comment number 1 says, what was mother-in-law's response? I'm so curious. Opie says, she called my husband crying. Safe to say she was blocked for a week as a warning. Wow. Someone else responds, he's doing good so far. He should get some help from a therapist to process the childhood and learn solid skills for setting boundaries, as his parents didn't teach him these skills. He will start to feel guilty and off balance as he changes his entire family's dynamics. Prepare for mother-in-law's tantrums, guilt trips, flying monkeys, and all the flabbers to be gasted. He needs to have support from a professional who is removed from the family for his sake and yours, so you aren't stuck as his only support while caring for a newborn. This is a process. He just opened his eyes to something terrible that was normalized in his life. Really encourage him to talk to someone who specializes in CPTSD and adult child of a self-absorbed parent. It did me a world of good. Yeah, that's honestly a good point. I think, like, you know, even if he realizes now that that's pretty messed up, I feel like there will be other things that will come out in the wash that he'll just, like, do as a parent because that's what his mom did. And then later it's like, whoa, what? That's not a fun thing. That's you shouldn't be doing that. So it'd be good to go to therapy first.
Yeah.
For the kid's sake, too.
True.
Comment number 2 says, did he not have friends, though? No friend ever came over and commented about the no doors or anything? Did he not go to friends' houses where they all had doors? Not one friend ever asked what the F is wrong with his mom? Just wondering. Opie says, growing up, he did have friends, but nobody could come over, and he couldn't go over to others' houses because his mom was scared that he would learn disrespect or boundaries from other households, and I'm assuming that they didn't know how his mom really was till later on in the friendship, because only during the engagement did his mom start really setting off alarm bells for me. That is wild, dude. He wasn't allowed to have people over or go to other people's house.
Yeah, that makes sense, because like you wouldn't be exposed to the normal.
Yeah, but that's wild. So he wouldn't, like, imagine you're a kid and it's like raining and it's like, well, our parents aren't going to take us to hang out at a coffee shop or something, so we just can't hang out because I don't want to be outside and I'm not allowed to be in my house with you or in your house.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I refused to have my father-in-law babysit for me because he's careless.
Hire a 12-year-old instead.
I don't know if I'm just being overprotective because I'm a first-time mom with hormones running wild, but I'm really struggling with this situation. My father-in-law has offered to look after my baby 1 day a week when I return to work. He's in his 60s, single, and overall a good person from what I've seen. The problem is he's simply not good with the baby. He tries, and I believe his heart is in the right place, but he constantly does things that are careless, unsafe, and frankly dangerous. By the way, this comes from user FewDepartment8552, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Riley.
And I'm Keon.
And OP says, my baby is 6 months old now, and I'm not going back to work until she's 1. In theory, that gives him time to get better, but I feel so anxious whenever he's around her. I don't trust him. My husband thinks we should keep trying, maybe train him with a written set of rules, but to me, this isn't about rules. It's about common sense, and you can't teach that. Okay, here's some examples of no common sense. He tried to leave her alone in a hot car while he runs an errand. Okay, automatically, no more. Sorry. He never puts the brake on her pram and wanders away, leaving it unsecured. He let a neighbor, a stranger to me, hold her without our consent, without checking basic hygiene, and despite our clear rules about no kissing before she was even fully vaccinated. He put her in her seat on the lawn and then ran a trimmer right next to her. She was panicking and hyperventilating while flying debris could have seriously hurt her, and he didn't even notice. He's using power tools around the baby.
They gotta
He's
learn.
doing lawn maintenance.
They gotta learn someday.
Yeah, I think all of these are so far very reasonable. Whenever we're out, he takes the pram and wanders off. I'll hear him screaming in the distance and find him just awkwardly rocking the pram, and by then she's distraught. She's usually a calm baby, so for her to get like that means she's been crying a while without him calling us. He told me I should let her cry it out, even though we've made clear we don't want to parent that way. I'm concerned about how he might handle disciplinary situations since we have very different parenting philosophies from his generation. All of this happened while I was nearby to step in, presumably if this is him on his best behavior. I dread to think what he'd do if I wasn't around. And honestly, how would I focus at work knowing he was in charge? I even started writing a manual for him, but it feels ridiculous. What am I supposed to include? Don't run power tools next to my baby's head? Don't leave the baby in a hot car? I can't possibly anticipate every dangerous lapse in judgment. I asked my husband if he would trust anyone else who acted like this with our child, and he admitted no. But he still insists we should give his dad a chance. He says if I'm uncomfortable, we won't do it. But at the same time, father-in-law keeps asking when he can buy a changing table for his house, and I feel like we're stringing him along when I already know it's a hard no from me.
Well, then tell your husband, I'm not comfortable with it, and give him the hard truth. I don't know. Sometimes beating around the bush to save other people's feelings is something you got to do. In this case, for your child's safety, I don't really think you should beat around the bush.
Yeah. I'd happily pay out of pocket for an extra day of nursery if that's the issue. What hurts is that it feels like my husband wants this more for his dad's happiness than for our baby's safety. I don't understand how sparing his dad's feelings comes before keeping our daughter safe. I've been stressed about it for months, and I'll be stressed about it until it's resolved. Rather than telling his dad we changed our minds, he lets me panic and cry and stress for a year. Time I never get back. Time I want to spend with my baby being happy. So am I being unreasonable for refusing to let my father-in-law babysit at all? He's genuinely excited about the idea, and I know saying no will crush him, but I just don't believe you can train someone into having common sense and I cannot risk my baby's safety for the sake of not hurting his feelings. We have an update. Just talk to them. Sit down and talk.
You're not.
Explain why.
Yeah.
And if he's like, I can change and be better, you're going to be like, you're going to have to prove it.
Yeah. You're not cutting the father-in-law out of the family or seeing your daughter. You're around. You see the kid. You're not cut him out completely.
I sent my husband this text. I don't want to give your dad a chance. Things he does go against common sense, and we can't teach him common sense. And if there's even a chance he will do some stupid crap to endanger her, that's not a risk I'm willing to take just because he's excited and his heart is in the right place. His head isn't. I will spend every moment she's with him terrified, and I have already spent months stressing about this. I made up my mind. It's a no. If you don't want to tell him, I will. I can be the bad guy if that's what it's about. I can pay for the extra nursery myself if that's what it's about. I'm not risking her well-being and my peace of mind over this. We spoke after. He is upset and says he disagrees with me. He says maybe he didn't know it was that bad to leave a baby in a car. We just have to tell him and he will learn. I tried to explain that we can't do that for every scenario. He said if we do this, it will be no going back, that it will cause issues we cannot mend, and that it will break trust, and that it's about respect.
All right. Let's do a pros and cons list. What are the cons? What are the pros?
Hey,
And I can tell you one pro that will conquer all those cons.
What?
My child's safety.
Safety.
Right.
Yeah, it's the baby safety.
I feel really alone right now. I will pass away on this hill alone if I have to, because I'd rather it be me than her. But I don't know what to do or what this will do to my relationship with my husband or father-in-law. My husband told me all along that if I wasn't comfortable, we wouldn't do it, and he would back me up, but now he seems so angry with me, like he says it's my choice. But when I choose different than he wanted, he is angry. Update 2. Yeah, your husband is being a big baby. Goo goo gaga, I'm afraid that my daddy's going to be mad that I don't want him using power tools around the child.
You got 3 babies to take care of right now.
Oh my gosh. You poor woman.
Update number 2. My husband is still a bit upset that I don't want to give it a chance and try to train his 60-year-old father, but he has agreed and says he will support my decision. We will try to break it to father-in-law without hurting his feelings. Any ideas on how to word that? I liked what some of you said about framing it as being a matter of her having routines at the nursery and my wanting to spend more time with her myself. I feel a massive weight lifted from my shoulders, not having this looming over me. Thank you to everyone who commented and helped me be more assertive about this, as it's something I usually struggle with. I mean, I already said what I would say. You guys have any? I don't think you should, lie. I think you should just be honest.
Be honest. The routine thing could help. You could also say you don't leave the kid in the car. I'd get mad. I'd get Mama Bear. Mama Bear up.
Update 3. I feel like I need to defend my husband and father-in-law a bit. Some of you seem to go at them quite harshly, and I don't think that's fair. My husband is an amazing father and partner, and I couldn't ask for anyone better. Yes, father-in-law did stupid things, but I know it wasn't malicious in any way. He's the nicest person you can think of. He couldn't do enough for you, and he loves his granddaughter fiercely. And that's what makes this so hard, because we wanted this to work so badly. We agreed on this arrangement before the baby was ever born because we trust father-in-law so much, and we knew he would be good to her. But we couldn't predict that he would be just plain bad at babies. It's his first grandchild, and his own kids are all over 30. So it's been a while for him having to look after a baby. And even then, he had help. He is now on his own. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I really do believe he just didn't understand it was a bad thing leaving a baby in a car. And that is what scares me. We can tell him not to do dangerous things, but if he can't work out what is a dangerous thing, then that's not really helpful. We don't want to hurt his feelings, and we don't want to fall out. So, yeah, I can just imagine this being even later on the road, it's maybe the kid is 3. And it's yeah, I just took him to the skate park, gave him a helmet. They were riding their scooter, and it's I get it. But it's that's not a situation where a man in his 60s can actively and properly look after the kid at the skate park. You know, it's stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's there becomes a level where it's if you can't be actively constantly making sure they're, doing stuff right or safe.
Yeah.
Might just be like, well, I thought it'd be fun. It's all the neighborhood, whatever.
Yeah.
We don't want to hurt his feelings, and we don't want to fall out. I have left a request with work to ask if I can go back part-time. That way we can at least say it's because I want to spend more time with the baby when she's little, and that we don't want to confuse her routine. So it will be just me and the nursery for now. If I don't get the time off, it will be harder to explain why we decided to pay for another day of nursery rather than leave her with him. He is so excited about it, it's breaking my heart having to tell him, no, but I don't have a choice. I think that's the difference. My husband thinks it's a choice I'm making, but for me, it's not. I couldn't leave her with him. It's not a choice I could make. If something happened to her, I would never be able to live with myself knowing I knew better and ignored all my instincts, screaming at me for the sake of not hurting someone's feelings. It'll never hurt our feelings if you go listen to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify or iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime on your favorite podcast app, and you can listen to over 71 days worth of stories.
Yep. And it will hurt our feelings if you don't.
A little bit.
OP, you're waking up. You're seeing what needs to happen. I will say it's easier reading a Reddit story, not knowing what these people are, and having interactions with them daily to make these decisions because we're on the very other side of it.
Yeah.
But if we're in the midst of it, feelings are complicated. And I lose sight of that a lot when we read these stories because I get a Reddit story that happens in my life. I'm like, dude, if I was on the podcast, I would totally say this and say something like this. But since they're a family member of mine or a friend of mine, I'm just going to act like it's not happening.
Yeah, there is always a level of looking the other way at stuff.
So
But,
I get that side. But if I was a mom, this is the thing, though. If I was a mom, my mama bear, ooh, you did what to my child? You left my child where? You plugged what into an outlet and made it run near my child? I don't know. Mama bear instincts.
And furthermore, it's not just the safety risk. Even if we could somehow fix that, he's just not good with her. He can't read her at all. He didn't see she was scared when he was running the trimmer next to her, and she was hyperventilating and panicked because she wasn't crying yet. And I guess to him, she was fine because she wasn't crying. And there have been times she's been so tired she can barely keep her eyes open, and he keeps messing with her, playing with high energy and tickling. She is getting more and more upset because she's tired and wants to sleep, and he just stomps around and waves toys at her. So she cries. And then he thinks then he thinks he needs to be even more entertaining because she is now upset, so he just escalates the play. It's not fair on her. She can't communicate in a way he understands, and so she just has to put up with it until someone steps in and stops it. And if we aren't there, we can't help her. It's like, dude, you can't read the baby. I'm sorry, father-in-law, you don't speak baby.
Yeah.
So you can't watch baby because you don't speak baby.
You can speak baby, by the way. You can learn when baby needs poop, and you can
Baby wants
take
food.
it to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to learn how to speak baby. You don't know how to speak baby.
My mother-in-law sold her house because I snapped at her.
That seems impulsive.
To start with some background, mother-in-law lives in Arizona and bought a new house sight unseen about an hour away from me, 31 female, and my husband, 37 male, in Idaho about a year and a half ago. After closing, she comes up from Arizona and is furious at the state of the house, which in all honesty, isn't that bad. It's mostly just cosmetic things. Clean up the yard, paint the walls, redo the stained flooring, etc. By the way, this comes from user The Stars Who Listen on the r/2hottake subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And OP says, my husband and I are both very handy with remodels, and we offered to help. She calmed down and agreed to stay. After a few weeks of making the hour drive out there, we had done a few things, like removing carpet, trimming trees, cleaning the rooms from 10 years of dust buildup, that's gross, and sanding the kitchen cabinets for painting. Looking back on this, she never actually thanked us for any of that help. It was more like she just expected it. She still did not feel like the place was fit to live in, despite again just knowing it was only cosmetic work it needed. About a year ago, my father-in-law, divorced from mother-in-law and remarried to stepmother-in-law for 16 years, was diagnosed with ALS.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's devastating. ALS is really a hard disease.
it is.
Yeah.
My husband and I shifted gears to start helping father-in-law and stepmother-in-law with a bunch of remodeling to accommodate a wheelchair. Nice on you guys. One of the things father-in-law asked us to help with was to build a she shed. Father-in-law passed about 3 months ago. I'm so sorry. He was incredibly hard on my husband and stepmother-in-law, as it was not an easy passing. During this time, we obviously had not worked on mother-in-law's house, and she was back in Arizona finishing up her job before retiring anyways. She retired a couple weeks after father-in-law passed and came back up to stay with us for about 5 weeks. Again, not feeling like the new house was livable. My husband was tense during this time, really just kind of angry at everything, and mother-in-law kept making negative comments about father-in-law and stepmother-in-law, all of which I tried to shield my husband from as best I could. I was playing referee between them. Now, in the last 3 months, we have been trying to finish up the she shed, flooring, skylights, drywall, the works, while also working on our bathroom remodel due to a leak we had 2 months ago. I could tell mother-in-law has not been happy with the time we have been spending at stepmother-in-law's place and not at hers. You're not the priority, mother-in-law.
The stepmother-in-law is the one. It's
Stepmother-in-law is the one who lost, was the one that married to father-in-law
yes.
for 16 years.
Yeah.
She was
Who's
the
going
one.
through it. Yeah. It's a lot of extenuating circumstances here, mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law came up again on Monday and again stayed with us with the intention of getting the new house in a condition for her to move in. My husband and I were putting the finishing touches on the she shed on Monday and Tuesday and told her we would be completely free to work on her place after this week. To be honest, we were really not paying her the level of attention we normally do since we were both so busy with work and getting the shed done. Yesterday, I was making lunch and she came in and wanted to chat with me. She made a few comments about us helping that woman, referring to stepmother-in-law, and how needy she must be, and how her mom, husband's grandma, was blaming my husband for allowing mother-in-law to buy a house that needed too much work, and how we did not have time to help her. I snapped. She had made these comments a lot before, and I brushed them off. So I'm not sure why they bothered me so much this time. I told her that my husband and I are doing our best to help everyone that we care about, including stepmother-in-law. And I told her that she was the one who decided to buy that new house, sight unseen.
That's insane. Buying a house sight unseen is crazy.
That's on you,
That's
Girly
on
Pop.
you, girl.
Buying the house sight unseen, despite my husband recommending against it. And she should be taking accountability for her choices and not putting them on her son. I also stated that there was plenty of neediness going around, that stepmother-in-law was not the only one. This might have been the a-hole part, as I could tell she was not happy that I was basically accusing her of being needy too.
Well, she is. She's literally saying, oh, it's crazy that stepmother-in-law is so needy, as she's actively asking for you guys to spend more time with her.
What about my wants? What about my needs?
Spend time with you guys.
The house is just a little not up to date.
I
And
need your help.
I need that up to date now.
Right now.
But mother-in-law decided to immediately pack her bags and get out of there. She left. I did apologize, and I told her she did not have to go.
She's being a drama queen. That is not your problem.
Yeah. She said she did, and we could talk to her again after we have time and are done with all our projects, and that woman.
Really hates her.
Yikes. That woman just lost her husband.
Yeah.
She texted today to say she is emptying the new house and will be selling it. That's annoying.
She literally just bought it. You're so silly.
Which is honestly fine by me, considering it is less work for us. But part of me feels like an a-hole for snapping yesterday and causing this rash decision.
She didn't cause anything. She caused her own rash decision.
Part of me also feels guilty for not getting her house ready sooner. But then another part of me is frustrated that she could not just get over the need for fresh paint on the walls or do it herself if she needed it so badly.
Well, it's just insane to be like, I only need to do a couple renovations and stuff. And instead of waiting for that or doing it myself, I'm going to sell the house I just bought?
Yeah. It was like pretty much this project was like not almost done per se, but it was practically there.
It was practically there.
Painted walls to make a space livable just does not seem as necessary as a wheelchair ramp or a promise to a passing away man to help him finish a project for his wife. Though I could see where she felt pushed aside because of this. So, am I the a-hole? And we do have an update.
No.
No.
You literally were just like, hey, can you give me some patience? And she was like, fine, I'm selling it.
And you're also, it's from what I recall, seems like you're doing this out of goodwill.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
if she was paying you to have a deadline to do this,
That'd be different. If it was a job, different. But it's not. You're doing a favor for both of these people. So you got to choose who you give the favors to.
Yeah. We have an update, and it's 6 months later.
Oh.
So, about 6 months ago, I posted about my mother-in-law threatening to sell her house after I snapped at her over comments she was making about my husband and his stepmom after his father passed away. A lot of you pointed out that she was using us for free labor.
Yup.
And you were totally right.
Yeah.
Called it. I appreciate all the advice given and words of encouragement. Now for the update. We had not heard a peep from mother-in-law at all these last months, until a week and a half ago. My husband and I were on a flight to Peru, and she literally texted that she was on the way to our house. No call, no asking if we were free, just that she was already halfway through the 16-hour drive from her Arizona house to our place. We were on a layover at this point and both just stunned. My husband waited to respond until the next day because he was so upset and just said, "We are in Peru," in a text to her, where she just responded that she figured we might be gone.
That's
Okay.
funny.
We talked it over that morning and stupidly agreed that we should extend an olive branch, since she drove all that way, and tell her she could stay at our place. Stupidly thinking it would be a night or two. She said she would. Did not even say thank you, of course, since she had a long 24 hours and would be working on her house in Toccoa. Apparently she never sold it, though I am not surprised.
Yeah, that would be crazy if she had sold it. It makes more sense that she didn't sell it. But now it feels like she's just like told you.
Yes.
She's like, fine, I'm going to sell it.
Oh goodness, golly gee. It's gonna be funny because I guarantee you OP and her husband did not work on the house anymore.
No,
She's gonna show up and be like, why didn't you guys finish the house?
of course they didn't. They thought she was selling it.
Yeah. Since then, again about a week and a half ago, she is still at our house.
Is
Yep.
she in your house?
She's in their house.
What? How did she get in?
Probably have like a code or something. I don't know.
Nice.
We have cameras on our place so we can see who comes and goes. She has not left for more than an hour, so we know she is not going to her Toccoa house, since that is an hour drive one way. She has not said anything to us, not even to ask when we will be back. Our cat sitter, our cat sitter is still coming by the house to clean the litter box and feed our cats, and mentioned to me that mother-in-law switched the cat food.
What?
Why?
Don't do that.
Why are you doing that? My husband immediately texted her and told her to switch it back since our cats are on special digestive-friendly food, so they do not puke all over the place. She never responded to him, but our cat sitter confirmed the food was switched back. Thank goodness. And thank goodness you're here, but we also have more episodes with stories just like this one. So you can go to Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's a little bit left. Why is this lady in your house?
I think she's trying to cause problems. Get her out of your house. Tell her that she needs to deal with her other house by herself and that you're not going to help her. Because she just wants to cause trouble.
She only wants problems. She does not want peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, going back to your original post of you snapping at her, I would have snapped at her way earlier because she was making such rude remarks about.
How about the mother-in-law?
Yeah, about
Or
the stepmother-in-law.
Who was going through a very, awful time.
And you wanted to rush your son because he was grieving that, I don't know, his father passed away.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know your
Also-
relationship between OP's mother-in-law
Clearly
and
not
father-in-law, but
good.
still, they divorced for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just pretty crazy that she's expecting all of this help from OP and her husband when he is grieving the loss of his father.
Yeah, and she's completely ungrateful for anything you do. She just expects
Too
the unexpected,
much.
really. Yeah.
Ay.
But let's go ahead and finish the story. So, at this point, I'm at a loss for what to do. I know she is still going to be there when we get back on Saturday, and I am absolutely dreading it. We have had an exhausting, though very fun trip of hiking and biking, and I just want to relax before going back to work. But I am also torn because I do not want to be an a-hole and tell her she needs to leave. My husband is in the same boat, and we both know she's probably going to try to get us to work on her house again. And we both agreed there is no way in heck we will be doing that because of how she has acted. She's refused to apologize and has taken advantage of us, especially this week and a half. So, any advice on how I can politely tell her to leave before we get back? The last thing I want is to send a text that she will forward to my husband's whole family to tell them how horrible we are for punting her out. Not that he seems too worried by that, but he has not had contact with any family on her side for months, and it breaks my heart to see. That is the end of that story.
Dang.
I mean, honesty could be the best, policy here.
I think you have to have like a talk with her. Set up some boundaries.
Yeah.
My cousin pestered my sister-in-law at my wedding, and my parents defended him. Well, get all of them out of there, parents included. Trigger warning, threats of physical altercations. So I, 28 female, just married the love of my life, 30 male. Congrats. And my wedding was 2 weeks ago. And I feel like I'm living in the wreckage of a bomb I set off myself. I'm so lost, and I need to know if I'm the monster my family is making me out. By the way, this comes from Better Jellyfish, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia. I'm Angie.
And OP says, my husband's family is Arab Muslim, and they are, without exaggeration, the best people I have ever known. I'm an only child, and my own family is really complicated. My husband's family welcomed me with open arms from day one, so for the first time, I felt like I had a real supportive family unit. My half-brother from my dad's side is much older, and he currently lives in Japan. Even though we don't talk much, he still called me to congratulate me. As for my parents, they weren't supportive of my marriage until I told them I'd cut them off if they kept pushing. I already knew going in that I couldn't count on them for anything but drama. The wedding itself was perfect. For a while, everyone was happy. Even my parents were smiling at some point. Then there's my cousin Mark, 35 male. My aunt begged me to invite him, and honestly, and yes, I regret this, I couldn't really say no because I didn't want any drama. Mark is a walking disaster. He is a womanizer, has 3 children with 3 different women he abandoned. Yikes! And his own father is the one sending the money. Oof. He's just a user. But for my aunt, the sun shines out of his butt. The night was winding down when I heard a scream. Not a happy one. I turned and saw my youngest sister-in-law, Layla, backed against a wall. My cousin Mark was standing in front of her, and he was dripping wet. She was the one who screamed, and she was holding an empty water glass. Backstory, my sister-in-law had a traumatic accident years ago, and ever since then, she's been uncomfortable around men. Even hugging her own dad and brother took years of patience and trust. So for her to be cornered at my wedding by my cousin, telling her to take off her hijab, saying she was too pretty to be covering her hair, and pushing her like that, she was literally shaking. Even worse that she's gone through a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
To be clear, that would be bad for literally anyone. So even
Of
worse
course.
for this poor woman.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, that's already just like he's trying to attack her.
yeah.
Just
Oh,
terrible, terrible situation.
my goodness.
My older sister-in-law, who is a force of nature, was already there and getting in his face. It was about to get physical. My father-in-law calmly stepped between them, looked at Mark, and said quietly, but with absolute finality, "It's time for you to leave my son's wedding." I thought that would be the end of it and was ready to console Layla, but then my aunt, Mark's mother, stormed over. "You can't punt him out. He was just joking with her. She's being too sensitive." First it was, "He was complimenting her," and then it became, "He was just joking." Before I could even speak up, my own mother piped up, "I'm sorry, but she's right. This is a huge overreaction. Mark didn't mean any harm. That's just how he is." You're all gone.
Well-
You're literally all gone.
What if how he is the type of person to cause harm?
Yeah. What if how he is a predator?
Yeah.
Seeing Layla still shaking and looking so scared, and hearing my own mother defend this creep who had just pestered my new sister, a switch flipped inside me and I snapped. I looked straight at my aunt and said, "No, he needs to leave now." She started up again. "OP, you're not going to disrespect your family like this." And I just let her have it. "My family? You don't get to lecture me about family. This is actually why your own is broken. This blind worship of your useless, good-for-nothing son is the reason you have one child who ruins every event he attends and another one who hasn't spoken to you in 5 years. And you dare wonder why your own daughter went no contact? It's because of this. Because you will always choose him over the people he hurts. So yes, he's leaving. And you can leave with him if you want. The entire area went silent. Then my aunt started crying and stormed out with my cousin and my parents trailing behind after they gave me one of their classic, "You're a disappointment" looks. My phone has been a nightmare since. Texts from my parents calling me cruel, vicious, and saying I used a family tragedy, my other cousin leaving, as a weapon. They told me how my aunt has been sending them messages about how I broke her heart. My husband has been supportive, telling me I was just defending Layla and that my family showed their true colors. But I can't get rid of these moments of guilt. Mark was 100% in the wrong. I've already cut him off. I don't want him anywhere near me or my husband's family again. The part I keep thinking about is what I said to my aunt. I don't regret defending my sister-in-law. She was scared out of her mind. And I will always pick her over him, but maybe I went too far bringing up her daughter leaving. I know that's a sore spot, and I basically twisted the knife. I feel like I dropped a nuke to win a fist fight, and now my entire family is radioactive. Am I the a-hole? And there is an update. No!
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but like, I don't care.
Yeah, I literally don't care what
Yeah.
your family has to say because your cousin Mark tried to literally attack someone. Like that is like religiously just like okay. Even like if you're thinking about it from, let's just say she was wearing like I don't know any other piece of clothing.
Yeah.
If he tries to take that off, that is assault.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I don't know if he actually did take it off,
He
but
did
he was
but
saying,
it's attempted assault. Is
yeah,
my
he
point.
was saying like you should take it off,
Yeah,
and like
and he was,
trying
like,
and
reaching for it,
cornering
yeah.
her for that. It's like that is like
Yeah.
physically, I don't know if he would like fight her, but
I don't know if he was going to do that, but like
I don't think it would be fight, but I think
No.
he would have still assaulted in other ways, if you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. I think it's very possible. So
this was so dangerous in so many ways.
yeah, cornering a woman,
Yeah.
saying that you're too pretty for this.
Yeah.
If it was even if it was anything else,
Yeah.
just on one hand is
At the very
bad.
least, it's harassment. At the very worst, it's assault, you know?
Sure, but like that's just already so uncomfortable and scary as a woman, and to be saying like, oh, like you're wasting your face. What does that even mean? Like, so what is he gonna do with, you know what I mean? But then the fact that it's her hijab too,
Yeah.
which is like the importance of that, and like taking that down around a man.
Yes.
is like
It's like so,
it's
so
extremely like not what you're
Mhm.
supposed to do, if that's what you
If that's what you
what you
practice.
abide by. Yeah.
Yes.
Then so that's like even more the fact that they're one just like as a woman not supporting her and not defending her, but then as like they're not defending her culture too. It's like I think you're totally fine to be this harsh with them, because yeah, I mean, it's true. You didn't say anything that wasn't true.
Yeah.
They did do that. They lost their daughter by her cutting them off. It was their fault that they did that, or that happened, right? Like, I'm assuming anyway.
Mhm.
So it's not like it's something that's like, oh, you brought up the fact that they can't have kids or
No.
something like that. It's like, this is their fault. They need to come to terms with it
Yeah.
for real.
And I did think he was trying to take it off. It's
Yeah.
I look back at it. It is a little bit unclear,
Uh-huh.
but at the very least, it said he was pushing her
Oh,
and
gosh.
telling her to take it off. So
Yeah.
very clearly harassment.
Yeah. I mean, if she felt the need to throw water in his face
Yeah.
at all at a
Yeah.
wedding,
Like clearly that was she feared escalation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're good, OP.
Yeah. Update. I'm trying to write this without getting emotional, but I'm failing. I've just been sitting here with tears in my eyes watching this post blow up. It might sound small, but seeing this level of support, even from strangers on the internet, has genuinely helped me see this whole situation with so much more clarity. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. For those who thought it was fake, I get it, but all I can say is this is my life. I know it's obvious I'm not the knucklehead for defending Layla. She deserves the world, and I would do it again in a heartbeat, no regrets. I just wanted advice because when you grow up a certain way, it's hard to trust your own judgment. My parents are masters of making you feel like you're the crazy one. Meeting my now husband was the turning point. He's so kind, respectful, and supportive, and he showed me what a healthy family dynamic actually looks like. I really can't wait for a future full of him and our shared happiness. Now for the important part. Layla is doing better. I called her a few hours after the post, and she immediately started apologizing and saying she felt bad for ruining the night. I immediately shut that down and told her what happened was 100% Mark's fault. His behavior was awful, and she did nothing wrong. I actually apologized to her for him even being there and for him putting her through that at my wedding. We talked for a while, and she told me she's been seeing a therapist for a while now to work through her trauma, which I think is incredible of her. She's so strong and amazing. But I think it'd be amazing if you listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to the story, but yeah.
I'm glad she's doing better. I'm
Me
glad
too.
she's going to go to therapy.
Yeah.
That's super nice.
Because, you know, this clearly was, I mean, she went through a traumatizing event
Mm-hmm.
and then, you know,
And then
has
more.
to be re-traumatized by freaking
Right.
Mark.
Right.
Yeah, if anyone in your family defends this, it's just, I mean, I would not
Yeah,
want them around.
exactly.
But there's a little bit
Exactly.
left. While I got some vile DMs, the overwhelming majority has been incredible. I especially want to thank the hijabi and Arab women who messaged me. Hearing your stories and how you felt for Layla and understood her experience just made me tear up. It's painful, but the support I saw gave me so much hope for a world where girls everywhere can just exist without being pestered. As for my parents, I took your advice. I sent a final, very short message and blocked them. The only response was a predictable email from my dad saying he'd be ready to listen when I was ready to apologize. Yeah, he'll be waiting a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's
My
crazy.
goodness. Yeah.
Wow.
My mother-in-law stole my birth announcement and kept breaking more boundaries.
Whoa!
I needed to be included. The day that happened, my mother-in-law got the vid, so she had to miss the birth. At the time, we were about it, but she became upset to the extreme, suggesting coming up before she was actually better. My partner and I made it very clear that we were not going to have her there while there was even a chance that she could be.
Yeah, because it could hurt the baby. You don't want to give vid to the little one.
If
he doesn't have immune
system.
Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Stupid baby.
By the way, it comes from Geek the Mad Nose, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Riley.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Sam.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. But let us know if you would do anything differently in the comments down below. So, OP says, I was in labor for days and ended up getting a C-section. The epidural was placed badly and started during surgery.
Oh,
Oh, that's terrible.
It's like
nightmare.
getting kicked in the balls without ball protection. You know
Sure,
what I'm saying, fellas?
for
Yeah,
sure,
and
for sure.
baby's getting your balls sliced in half.
Yeah, I think it's a little
I
worse.
feel like
Yeah,
it might be
honestly.
even worse.
Oh,
Ladies, tell me what that's like. Ladies, please.
Ladies.
The birth was traumatic. Our baby is perfect, but it was the most painful and terrifying day of my life. Then, only a day after I went home, I ended up back in the hospital for another week while they got my blood pressure under control.
oh my
It was
god.
very frightening. Oh
Terrible.
my goodness. When my mother-in-law found out that I was back in the hospital, she did not even call or text me. She was just pestering my partner to let her come visit her grandson.
They always care about the grandbaby and never the grandmother. But the
Or
mother.
the mother.
The mother.
Sure.
It's sort of like, you know how like you go up to someone that's a pet, it's like, oh, what's your pet's name?
Yeah.
You never ask what their name is.
Right. I actually had this feeling that she was mad at me, but I brushed it off because that would be crazy, right? Right? My partner told her 3 times that we were not up for visitors. She said that she does not feel like part of the family, trying to guilt them into letting her come down. They stayed firm, so a few hours later she texted me, heard you're feeling better. I was not. We would like to come down this Sunday for the day. Then I had to tell her no, and again, our logic was that she was not even fever-free for 24 hours yet. It was still coughing a lot. But also, I was not well enough for company right now. Also, they live 3 hours away. This is nuts for a day trip.
Oh my god.
I-
Also, like, in labor for 2 days is crazy.
It really is.
Yeah.
Says Katie Paladin. I don't know, but that's what chat said.
Yeah. I said the same thing that my partner said. Let's try it for next weekend so they can spend a couple nights. She did not respond for over 24 hours and finally said, Hard to hear this, but we will respect your feelings. My feelings? I was in and out of hypertensive crisis for days. I thought I was going to pass away. I was recovering from surgery and could hardly get out of bed. We had a newborn. I would have loved a "how are you feeling?" or a "let us know when you're ready for us to come down," but no pressure. On top of that, she was being weird and rude to my mom, who was so solid, supporting my partner and me through the birth and after. I finally got out of the hospital, and a day or so later was thinking about doing the birth announcement on social media. My partner and I discussed not wanting our son all over social media. We planned on doing a single pic with the announcement. I got online to find out that my mother-in-law had already made our birth announcement without our consent.
Wow, it's so nice of her. Now take the pressure off.
Right, she's just like helping you guys out.
Yeah.
Your kid, though.
Oh my gosh. I was stunned about that and pretty mad. Then I saw that she had also posted play-by-plays of the entire birth. The pictures we shared with her to make her feel included. Photos, pics of our moments-old son unclothed, pics of me, and talking all about my private health information. I was so distressed, I was sobbing. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and shocked. It felt unreal.
Jeez.
My partner was horrified. They called and had her take everything down immediately. She was so upset that I was not okay with her posting my health details that she took down every photo that I'm in on her profile.
Honestly, that's good.
I mean, yeah, honestly, I would rather an over execution than an under execution.
True. Every family photo with me in it. Vacation pics going back for years. I was just as shocked and hurt by this. We always had a good relationship, so all of this is coming so out of left field at a time of extreme vulnerability. I have known my partner for 20 years, so I've known her for 20 years. She has always been like another mother to me, which is why this is so horrible. Her apology for the whole thing sucked. She blamed VidBrain and said that my partner did not explain things well enough. They did, she just did not listen. And she blamed my father-in-law for not taking care of her. And I tell her that I want to talk later about it, and she says, "We're talking now." And that my partner wants to be a part of the talk because they have things that they want to address too. And she is not thrilled. So the next day, we try to have that talk with her, and she gets pissed and just checks out. She even tries to start scrolling on social media.
She's posting more baby pics.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Update, she's not talking to me anymore.
Right. My partner explains that they do not want pics of our son on social media. They start explaining why, and she says that she does not need to know why. She'll just respect our wishes. I'm also on bed rest, and she keeps trying to take our son out of the room away from me, and we keep having to ask her to come back with him. It is irritating us both. Like, she wants to run off with him constantly. The next day, they go home, and she immediately posts pictures of our son. Then she made him her profile picture in her cover photo.
That is crazy. Who does that?
Crazy.
That is crazy.
That's wild. There is an update, but I feel like at this point you just have to invite her over all nice again and then take her phone and then just like delete all of the pictures that she has.
Yeah.
Delete her account, honestly, at this point.
Yeah.
Her account?
Yes.
What if it's monetized?
Well, we're not seeing into that money,
Take
so
the
I don't care.
monetization.
Yeah, right. Putting your credit card for the monetization. Yeah, but we have an update. So after the in-laws went home, we saw mother-in-law had posted tons of pictures of our son against our wishes. Profile picture, cover photo, even a video that she took. We were already upset because the talk went so poorly. Over the phone, I confronted her about why she didn't call or text me when she found out that I was back in the hospital. She claimed that she thought that she was doing the right thing by giving me space. This makes no sense because she was perfectly willing to pressure us to let her come before the visit, or let her come visit before I was healed enough. A few weeks later, they came down again. She said that she was there to help, but really just wanted to play with our son. I kept telling her his play windows should be short and he needed frequent naps. Yeah, he's a newborn.
He's a baby.
He can't even play, really. He's just sleeping.
Yeah.
No immune system and just sleeping all the time.
Yeah.
Come on.
Needing to take him from her to get his needs met was exhausting. She took it poorly when we tried to teach her what worked for him. She was actually rude to my partner when they tried to explain what to do. The husband had become very firm with her, and I loved that. She kept interrogating us separately about how often my mom had been there.
She was fishing for information, like she was worried that my mom was getting to bond with our son more. It was really bizarre and weirdly competitive. Yeah, it's like, well,
How many minutes have you spent with the baby? I've spent 52. Clocking in. Yeah.
Yeah, literally. Mother-in-law came down by herself last week, and my partner asked her to please stop posting pictures. Again, she was whiny about it and thought that it was unfair to her. Eventually, she admitted that she'd been feeling guilty about posting, even though we had asked her not to. She took most of them down that day and the rest the next day. Then I sat down with her separately and asked why she took down every single photo that I was in after I asked her to not post my health information.
Because she's petty, that's why.
Yeah.
She's just being petty.
I told her that it was hurtful and it felt like retaliation for setting a boundary. She quickly said, well, I was mad. I could at least respect the honesty. But then she took it back and said that she thought that that's what I wanted. Now she's stuck to the excuse that she thought that she was doing the right thing. And that was the second time that she had used that excuse. We almost had a decent conversation about the problems. She still gaslit me and didn't really listen, but I felt like we maybe got somewhere sentimental for a minute. Then the visit ended in the most dramatic way possible.
Oh no, more dramatic than
More.
this? I thought this was the most dramatic. Oh my gosh.
Apparently not.
Pulls out a cloak and she goes, you know, this is not the last of me.
Yeah, and she disappears in smoke.
Yeah.
My partner agreed that we can't leave our son. Instead
How
of
do you know it's gas pains though?
Because the baby's going.
Dr. Sophia.
I mean,
come
I
again.
think there's like only a handful of options of what it could be. So
Really? I feel
think,
like it's a human. Like it could be like
Uncomfortable, hungry,
yeah.
tired.
There's
Yeah.
like a billion things.
That's 2 things.
What do you mean? There's
Uncomfortable, hungry,
heart
tired.
palpitations.
Uncomfortable.
Constipated.
Uncomfortable.
well, that could count as gas buildup.
It's true.
Constipation.
Angry.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable.
I feel like it's a pretty common thing.
All right. True.
Babies are angry.
Baby.
Instead of saying all of this or assigning blame or screaming, I just came out and said his diaper was on too tight. Like so tight. And then I walked away. I'm sure she could hear the distress and hurt in my voice, but at least I didn't yell or curse. Nah, she freaked out. I mean, freaked out. Immediately, she wanted to leave. She was talking a mile a minute at my partner. She wanted father-in-law to come pick her up, which is a 3-hour trip one way, mind you. And her train didn't leave until the afternoon, so he would get to our house at the same time as the train. My partner asked her why she put the diaper on so tight, and she didn't have anything to say about it. No explanation. So they walked away from her to come check on us. So, meanwhile, dear husband and I were focused on helping our son pass the gas and making sure that he was okay. We were extremely stressed and upset and monitoring the poor little guy. Mother-in-law came and knocked on our bedroom door. I told her, absolutely not. Go away. I needed to cool down before I talked to her. Then, a while later, she texted my partner asking for the gate code so she could leave. She told them how disrespectful it was for me to reprimand her. She said that I shouldn't have yelled at her. Dear husband told her that I didn't yell and wasn't even close to disrespectful, so they gave her the code. Meanwhile, our son would not eat at first. He just screamed on and off and passed gas. The longer this went on, the angrier at her I became. Even 20 minutes feels like an eternity when he's in distress. Despite this, I still sent her a text saying that even though I needed space, she didn't need to leave and sit at the station for hours. I even told her the reason I was taking space was because I was mad and didn't want to react with anger towards her. She knocked on my door again and woke up our son, who I had just gotten to fall asleep.
Okay, I have a quick question. Should the husband be a little bit more active? Because I feel like I'm seeing a lot of like mother-in-law on OP action, and I feel like the husband hasn't stepped in that much.
Yeah.
Maybe we're blowing over it or something, but it feels like it feels like he's like I feel like it's his job. He's supporting. I feel like he's being I feel like he's being reactive supportive, but not proactive supportive. You know?
Yeah, he has like been on the phone a couple times with her, but I mean, obviously it's not working.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not mad personally at her just sitting at the station for hours.
Yeah, dude.
I feel like that's totally fine.
Yeah.
If I was OP, I would mean that.
To the curb.
Exactly. So now I was pissed all over again. I told her through the door to please respect my need for space. she had the audacity to say, well, it's been 30 minutes or 45 minutes already, so I'm just going to go. And I'm like, okay, bye. Because this angered me so much. I had zero patience for that manipulative crap. She was just punishing me for setting boundaries again. She went and stood by the gate with all her stuff, and my partner was there to make sure that she got in the lift. But she didn't call the lift. Instead, she continued trying to get dear husband on her side. She even showed them my text and said, see, she doesn't want me here. And they read it and got confused because I literally told her that she didn't have to go. They
But
asked
also, like, we don't want you here.
yeah, exactly. Like, I am a little confused by that. Like, obviously, the mother-in-law is in the wrong here.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I was in the mother-in-law's place, I would kind of be like, well, yeah, I feel like you want me completely out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I mean, whatever. I'm not gonna, like, really blame OP for that.
Yeah, I feel like we're done trying to, like, mollycoddle
Yeah.
the mother-in-law's feelings at this point, because
For
you
sure.
just like, there's been so many transgressions. She's
The
not.
fact that she still was posting pictures of the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even give her access of the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if she comes over, she's got to put her phone in the lockbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Phone at the door, please.
Right. I literally told her she didn't have to go. They asked if she even read it, and she said no. What? She didn't even read this text message that she's mad about? She had so much confidence that I was being mean to her. What she wanted was to come see our son and help, and if not, she was just going to go. So they said, if you want to leave, that's up to you. They left her outside and came back to us. If she wanted to sit at the train station for hours, go for it. She stood outside for a while, then came back in and sat in the living room for another hour and a half. Finally, our son wasn't fussy and gassy anymore, and he had had a nap. I was calmed down, so I put on a movie in our room and invited her in to watch until she left because it was less awkward than her just sitting there. She sat in her chair and barely spoke to me, thank God. She hardly watched the movie, though. She kept looking at me and our son. I kept my eyes on the screen and ignored it. I fought the urge to say, can I help you? And dear husband was freaked out by her behavior. They had never seen her like this. Yeah, I'm just imagining like an old lady literally in the corner of like a dimly lit room on a rocking chair just staring at
I mean,
you.
that is literally the stuff of nightmares and
Yeah.
horror movies. So.
This is what's happening.
But again, all right, like OP is like, can I help you? Husband, what is he doing?
Nothing.
He's
Well,
doing
yeah.
nothing. He's just being like creeped out. Where's the backbone?
Right. The next day, she texted them and asked if we wanted to go on a family vacation next month. What? So they said no. Then she texted me as if nothing had even happened. After everything over the last few weeks, this really just broke something in me. Doing something that hurt our son, then making it all about herself and putting us through that, and then texting me like we were all good and inviting us on vacation was just too much. I texted her and called her out on the bad behavior and making it about herself. The next day, she texted back saying that I was wrong, that she hadn't made it about herself. She claimed that she was just trying to leave because that was the best for us and that she was only thinking about what was best for our son. No, she was threatening to leave first because I upset her when I told her that she put his diaper on too tight, and then later because I didn't let her come in the room. She was just freaking out and trying to get her way. She was frantic and emotional, not even close to thinking about us or our son. But I hope that you always think about us when you listen to full episodes of more stories just like this one. Just go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. And there is a little bit more to the story, but yeah, I feel like she needs to get checked up on.
Yeah, I mean,
For
I
sure.
think this is not the behavior of a normal person,
Yeah.
right? Like this is erratic behavior. So like, I'm like, one, is mother-in-law okay?
Right.
If she is mentally all there, then she needs to be distanced. And
Yeah.
if she needs to be distanced, the person who should be creating the distance is the husband. Because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like OP is putting in the work, and I really think it should be more on the husband. But let me know if you guys think differently.
Yeah, let us know. So this is why I'm here writing all of this. I'm done. My partner is done. We are so frustrated, hurt, and grossed out. We are mourning. We can't even talk to her. She needs to go to counseling and be able to have an honest conversation about all of this before she sees us again. She needs to take responsibility for everything she has done. We both need real apologies where she doesn't just say, sorry for the misunderstanding, but actually I think that I was doing the right thing and I was only thinking of you.
We haven't sent her pictures or updates. I haven't spoken to her since, and dear husband has only answered texts about personal stuff going on in the family that doesn't relate to her and her drama. How long will she have this baby rabies thing for? So,
Baby
I
rabies.
guess so. Has anyone gotten past this kind of situation in a healthy way? And that is the question that ends the story. My sister-in-law made us parent her own son as if he's our son.
Ridiculous, but also I think that's little delegation.
Maybe she's just a good businesswoman.
Yeah.
But this is directly from the r/OK Storytime subreddit. My husband, 31 male, and I, 30 female, have no problem helping my sister-in-law, 37 female, with her son, 3 years old. But the care that's become expected of us has made us uncomfortable. If we don't intervene with our nephew's behavior, he becomes out of control because we're the only ones willing to parent or discipline him. By the way, this comes from Need to Share This 626, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Riley.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Sam.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We're just going to guess what we would do in this situation. So if you would do anything differently, let us know in the comments below. So, OP says, some backstory on sister-in-law. Nephew is her second child. Her older son is 14 male and lives with his biological father and has recently gotten into trouble with the law.
Uh-oh.
My husband and I have decided to distance ourselves from him without telling the in-laws to avoid drama. Younger nephew has a different father who's in the military and currently deployed, so nephew is with sister-in-law full-time. Sister-in-law divorced nephew's dad because he cheated after the nephew was born.
Oh.
My sister-in-law is a wonderful person who just has terrible taste in men. Recently, whenever we get the nephew and our kids together, nephew immediately begins to misbehave. He screams, calls people names, lies, and deliberately ignores his mom and all other adults who try to rein him in. My husband and I would usually ignore this, but the targets of nephew's attacks have become our 2 kids, 6 female and 3 female.
Yeah, you gotta defend your kids.
For sure. To protect our kids, my husband and I have started calling nephew out on his behavior and even scolding and punishing him, something we're both very uncomfortable doing to another person's child, even family. What makes it worse is my in-laws praising my husband for taking charge while my sister-in-law says nothing and doesn't try to stop her son from misbehaving. Everyone insists that nephew only listens to male figures, and that's why he's so misbehaved, because his father isn't there.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think anyone can discipline their children.
Absolutely. And if a child isn't responding to like a female figure, then I don't know, maybe you need to parent him differently. So I called BS on that because when I step in with discipline to stop the nephew from bullying my kids, he listens just as well as when it's my husband doing the scolding. Nephew's behaviors have only gotten worse, and the disciplines my husband and I implement mean nothing once we're no longer around because nephew knows that no one else will intervene. Things finally hit their breaking point when I heard nephew calling my eldest daughter names. My eldest daughter has autism, so she took what her cousin said to heart and began repeating what he said to herself whenever she would struggle with something. Oh my gosh.
That's heartbreaking.
That is terrible. She really internalized his words because she knows he's family and believes that family is meant to love you unconditionally. I had originally thought her calling herself these names was because of bullying I missed while tutoring some kids her age at the house, and had pulled her from my class as I tried to figure out who had said those things to her. You can imagine my hurt to learn that it had been her own cousin who hurt her in such a way. For the record, I have never let them play alone, and I've always been close by to keep an eye on them, but I had missed the whispers until they were no longer whispers, as nephew tried to get my youngest to repeat them to her sister. Luckily, my youngest realized how bad those words were and didn't follow suit, instead distancing herself from her nephew to play solely with her sister. I'm gonna double check if this kid is 3 because this sounds crazy.
I'm like, why is he so smart?
Yeah. I just recently had my 3rd child, who is only a few days old, and my husband and I are trying to decide what to do about sister-in-law and nephew because we feel uncomfortable having nephew around our kids, but we know that sister-in-law needs the help. There's a long backstory about my relationship with sister-in-law and in-law drama that once led to a year of no contact with them. I worry that if things don't change, my husband will have to cut off his family once again just to protect me and the kids, but that isn't something that I want him to have to do. My husband and I are sister-in-law's major support system, and I would feel bad about cutting her off, but I'm starting to think that will be the only way to preserve my children's peace. Any advice, please? And there are some comments, but yeah, I don't know. I feel kind of conflicted because part of me thinks, like, you know, if this child is acting out and is only kind of behaving around them, I wonder if they could possibly talk about adopting the kid. And hear me out, because
Whoa, wait.
hear me out.
You're like, wait. This kid is causing so much trouble. Instead of giving him a little distance, let's bring him in closer.
So yes,
Closer.
Yeah.
that could definitely cause problems, especially for the kids, because it's like, oh, you know, we don't want to play with this 3-year-old because he's, you know, hurting us, if any, like, mentally and I don't know, physically, if not, but so that probably wouldn't be the best to keep him around the kids. But I just think about that 14-year-old, and I just think, like, if this 3-year-old is saying these things and is knowing how to hurt people like this, and I feel like you grow up so much faster with some sort of trauma and, like, a hard upbringing, and if he's only 3,
True.
I feel like if he did grow up in a better home, then I feel like this wouldn't last forever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, if you believe that you can take on another kid, that would probably be best for the kid. But if you don't, / you think it'll hurt your family unit, I think you have to protect your family unit.
Right. But we do have some comments. Comment number 1 says, I don't think you necessarily need to cut them off, but you do need to set boundaries.
Yep.
Your husband needs to sit down with his sister and explain that being put in this situation makes him uncomfortable, and ultimately it's not going to be best for her son. If the child's parent is present, they need to be the ones to step in to stop or redirect behaviors. If he isn't listening or respecting her, it's because he has learned that he doesn't have to. Maybe help her make a plan on how to implement discipline for her son. Even if she starts out needing some direction in that moment on how to rein him in, she needs to be the one to do it. Back her up, but she needs to become the face. If he's 3, he's still very malleable and learning how to navigate social situations. She needs to learn to have the confidence to take control of these situations when they arise. She's gotten comfortable not having to deal with the difficult parts of parenting, and she's doing a disservice to her son. You and your husband, as well as the rest of the family, need to stop enabling it. And to add, that doesn't mean your children need to continue to being exposed to this behavior or bullying. They do need to be your priority. There is a middle ground where you can protect them and still help her set up. If she isn't willing or able to do that, then that's her choice, but it might be time to get some distance once again. Comment number 2 says, your entire family is enabling sister-in-law and nephew to bully your entire family. Boundaries with specific consequences need to be set with your parents-in-law and sister-in-law. Then, and this is the most important, if they are not followed, no matter who it is, you must follow through with the consequences, no matter of timing, holidays, birthdays, any kind of excuses they might try to use to guilt you. We have an update.
Woo!
So, I have an update as well as some relevant information about my relationship with my husband's family. I didn't notice the emotional, the emotional genetic copy pasting happening with my husband's family until,
Wait, what?
I don't know. This is very new information.
What do you mean?
Relevant information indeed. So I didn't notice the emotional genetic copy pasting happening with my husband's family until after we were married and I was pregnant with my first. It started with my mother-in-law saying things like, sister-in-law is so excited for baby to get here, and constantly referring to my daughter as her baby. Most of my husband's family does this, referring to my children as their children by always saying my when talking about them. But the moment I realized something was off was during the baby shower. My mother-in-law insisted on throwing me. I arrived at her house early to help with setup, and that's when she showed me the centerpiece she had made with a small cradle on top of a tower with a little figure beside it that my mother-in-law proudly explained was meant to be sister-in-law waiting patiently for her baby to arrive. I wish this was a joke.
Oh my god.
Wait, what? And this was OP's baby shower, and she put sister-in-law next to the basket.
Huh?
That's wild. I was so confused that I messaged my husband about it, and he was just as confused and disturbed. Luckily, my mom came to my rescue, and during the party, when mother-in-law wasn't looking, my mom replaced the little doll with one that looked like me and put the other doll at the bottom of the tower. It was petty, but very needed.
The crazy didn't stop there. My mother-in-law began sending me angry texts after my daughter was born because she was upset that I didn't have her in my hospital room after the baby was born and made her wait until the next day to meet my daughter. My daughter was in the NICU because of complications, and I wasn't allowed to be near my daughter for 24 hours. Mother-in-law was also upset that we didn't post about my daughter's birth right away so that all of her family could see it. We didn't post anything because the only pictures we had were of our daughter in distress and me being an emotional wreck. In the end, I caved and asked my husband to take his mom to meet her because I hoped it would make her stop messaging me hurtful messages about how I was trying to take her son from her and the rest of his family. Mother-in-law took this opportunity to take pictures with my daughter and post them all over her Facebook without telling my husband or me.
What?
This is wild, dude. My husband found out before me and immediately demanded that she take everything down, which prompted more hateful texts. Mother-in-law didn't calm down until after we were finally able to leave the hospital with my daughter, and she was able to brag about her freely.
Wow.
My relationship with mother-in-law gradually got worse over time, but things really hit the fan when I became pregnant with my second daughter because of a Facebook post.
You became pregnant because of a Facebook
I know
post?
that does sound like...
Must have been a saucy Facebook post.
It says, I think it's things hit the fan because of the Facebook post.
I see.
But that definitely, I heard that
Things
too.
hit the fan as me and the fan got busy.
It was the vid time when I was pregnant with my second, and my sister-in-law was pregnant with her son at the same time, so tensions were already high. Then came the day of the Facebook post where mother-in-law didn't like a comment I left on someone else's post and insisted that my comment was meant to be an attack against her.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. This prompted her to message her son, my husband, while he was at work, telling him how much she disliked me and how horrible I am.
Yikes.
I don't think she expected my husband to show me the message, but he did. At first, I tried to laugh it off, but her words hurt, and my husband came home from work to find me sobbing.
Aww.
Seeing how much his mother hurt me, he decided to go no contact, but the no contact wouldn't last long because she wouldn't stop messaging us and made it so my husband's younger brother, who still lived with mother-in-law, couldn't contact my husband. She poisoned the rest of my husband's family to cut him out. The stress of all of this caused me to pass out. Whoa.
Whoa.
And my husband had to rush me to the hospital, fearing that I would lose the baby.
Oh my god.
Oh
Holy
my
crap.
god. That escalated quickly.
Oh. Once I was cleared and we were informed that my fainting spell was stress-related, my husband broke our no contact to go to his parents' house to tear his mother a new one. Then we went full no contact and didn't hear from pretty much anyone from my husband's family other than a few passive-aggressive texts trying to get my husband to talk to them again. During all of this, sister-in-law remained on mine and my husband's side. She reached out to check on how I was doing and helped keep me sane during quarantine. In return, my husband and I did all that we could for her. I would make her meals when she was too tired and made her a care package when she got the vid. It got to a point where we were talking daily. When the day came that she went into labor, she called us, and I sent my husband over to her with a car seat. Mother-in-law was the person who was going to drive her to the hospital to be sister-in-law's birth partner because sister-in-law's husband at the time was deployed. My husband stayed with sister-in-law for several hours at her house as she labored, and they waited for mother-in-law to show up. She didn't get there for several hours, despite sister-in-law telling her that she needed to go to the hospital. Because of mother-in-law's tardiness, sister-in-law ended up needing an emergency C-section.
No.
Oh my gosh. And there's like so much more risk for, I don't know, dangerous things. I don't know.
Wait,
exactly.
so the mother-in-law was supposed to be there to take her
I guess
to
so.
the hospital, and then was just like, and just like,
Yeah, mother-in-law was the person that was going to drive her to the hospital to be sister-in-law's birth partner.
that is like, I mean, that's like one of the most important jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Like you would get there immediately or be there beforehand. Yeah.
I'm surprised there was no one else that could have taken her in like the time that you know they were waiting.
guess
but,
so.
I mean, I guess like it's moment's notice. Maybe it's during a work day or whatever.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of weird that the husband couldn't take her to
Yeah.
the hospital, though. They just kind of, I don't know what that's about. After her son was born, my husband and I continued to help sister-in-law, even though I was very much pregnant at the time and ended up giving birth only a month after her. My husband didn't tell his family and let them learn about the birth through a Facebook post the next day.
That did not go over well, and we extended our no contact for a year until mother-in-law finally started to seemingly change her ways.
Good.
My relationship with mother-in-law is better now, but not perfect. I wanted to share all of that to better explain my relationship with sister-in-law, as she is the only member of my husband's family who never turned her back on me and was willing to stand up for me against mother-in-law. She is truly a sister to me, which makes the situation with her son so much harder to deal with. Now to the update. My husband and I decided to go to his and then my parents' house for Easter. We knew that this would mean being near the nephew, but we felt that we could protect our girls as long as one of us was always near. Things started off rocky as nephew immediately started trying to get our girls to follow him into his shenanigans. Our girls did not follow his lead, which caused him to throw a fit and began demanding that we let him hold our new baby. What? This prompted my husband to scold him, and for the first time, sister-in-law spoke up. She lightly snapped at my husband to leave nephew alone and that he wasn't going to do anything. My husband and I were surprised and decided then that we would not step in again if nephew acted up. Surprisingly, sister-in-law stepped up slightly to scold her son when he would begin to act up. I thought this was wonderful and felt that maybe things would begin to change until it came time to decorate cookies. Oh no! Is he gonna smash all the cookies? Oh man. Mother-in-law called all the kids to the table where we had set up frosting and cookies and then called my husband over because she wanted him to be the one to demonstrate how we were going to do the frosting. She did this by saying word for word, "All right, kids, everyone watch Daddy so he can show you what to do." That's right. She referred to my husband as the father to all of the kids. Oh wow.
Whoa.
That's weird.
That is very weird. But you know what's not weird? The fact that we have full episodes with more stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. You're going to find them all. And there is a little bit more to the story, but do we have any thoughts before we move on?
Yeah. Well, I mean, OP said that she was like a sister with the sister-in-law.
Right.
I feel like it's kind of weird that I feel like you should be more truthful with her and be like, call her out more if you are that close.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I feel like that should be at least possible to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like, you know, she started to slowly scold the kid a little bit more,
Yeah,
but
not enough.
yeah, maybe they need to like sit down with her and kind of, I don't know, read some parenting books or watch educational videos on it and like learn about kids and how to deal with them together. I know. But there is a little bit more to the story.
Let's hit it.
When we tried to correct her, we were quickly waved off and ignored. I tried to do damage control by loudly calling my husband uncle several times to nephew, but it seemed to just go in one ear and out the other. We eventually left their house and went to my parents, and that's when I heard my kids talking about their cousin, but calling him brother.
Uh-oh.
Maybe my adoption idea is not so bad.
They're seeding it.
My husband had been correcting them constantly, but they continue to call nephew brother, no matter how many times we explain otherwise. I'm worried about my kids becoming confused because of all of this, but I'm more worried about what this is doing to nephew because of how unstable his life already is.
Maybe they just don't know his name.
I'm
not often calling Sam like, hey, brother.
Right. And OP's final line is, I'm not sure what to do.
My husband's jealousy is ruining our marriage, and now he's asking for divorce.
Oh, okay. Sounds like it's over then.
My husband, 34 male, told me, 32 female, that he's fed up and going to file for divorce. We've been married for 1 year, together for 4. He's very angry, and I feel depleted and numb. By the way, this comes from user FreeBoysenberry2680, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Carly.
And I'm cute. No, I'm Keon. Hello.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We're only human. We only know what we would do in this situation. So if you would do something different, let us know in the comments. OP says, backstory. My husband suffers from a type of OCD called relationship OCD, otherwise known as retroactive jealousy. It's where he fixates on my past spicy relationships, particularly on one person, a person who I've not even spoken to in over 8 years. He can get triggered anytime, anywhere. We could be watching TV and a character will have the same name and he'll get triggered. Last weekend, we were at a concert celebrating our 1-year wedding anniversary and someone came on stage wearing a jersey for the same sport this person used to play. He wanted to leave the concert immediately. We ended up fighting, and our anniversary was ruined. Anytime he's triggered, his energy completely shifts from warm, goofy, and loving to ice cold and bothered, and he shuts me out. It's a very sad, confusing, frustrating, and isolating experience for me and for him. It's mental turmoil. Pretty much every single fight we have had in our relationship has stemmed from his retroactive jealousy. Other than that, we've been extremely happy. Unfortunately, every time he gets triggered, it chips away at my happiness. I walk on eggshells and feel anxiety sometimes because I never know when he'll get triggered next. I thought he might get better with time or after our marriage because he would finally see that I want him and only him forever. I was wrong. Ever since he was triggered on our anniversary last weekend and we fought, things have never been worse. Something feels different about this time. Like I finally realized this isn't going away, or that I've hit my breaking point. We've been cordial to each other all week and sleeping in the same bed, but no spicy times. Yesterday, he asked me if I'm ready to go back to being loving again.
Dude, it was you.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you ready to...
You ready to get over a person that you never met from 8 years ago?
Yeah, dude, like, I get it. You've got a thing, but it's like, it's your thing.
Yeah.
You need to address it.
It's not like OP's like acting on anything with this person. Like there's nothing more I feel like that OP can really do.
Yeah, they're not hanging out. I told him my concerns and how he needs to seek support or medication for this retroactive jealousy. I also thanked him for giving me space, which literally just meant not initiating spicy sleep. And he got an attitude and said, yeah, well, I was upset too. We know, buddy.
You made that pretty clear.
It felt clear to me in this moment that he wasn't really listening to me, and to be fair, I sometimes have a difficult time seeing things from his side as well. Sometimes his aggressive approach and victim mindset in conversation makes me automatically defensive. He ended up storming out of the room and slept in the guest room where he always sleeps when he's upset or when he's taking a nap, and has been slamming every door he walks through ever since.
My gosh, this
It's
is...
a little childlike.
At this point, there is so much tension that I told him I will move his things from the master bedroom to the guest room so that we can both have space to process what we're feeling.
Someone call a wambulance for this guy. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Literally, it's
How long-
Wambulance City.
I'm forgetting how long they've been together.
Long enough to be married. 4 years. 4 years
Four-
together, 1 year married.
Okay, so 5 years. That's what I thought.
He left for the day to go golfing, a new hobby he picked up that he has trashed for the past 4 years. While he was away, I moved his stuff. I did not move it to upset him. I truly feel broken and anxious when I'm around him now, and just need a little space to process everything. He came home from golf and was livid. He said he wasn't interested in being roommates, and this was no way to live. Whoa, dude, then you should analyze your own behaviors.
Yeah.
How did we get here? Scratch his head.
Why did we get here?
I told him once again that I need space to process everything, and he said rudely, you've had enough space. You've had a week of space. Instead of moving my belongings all day, you could have instead come up with a way to communicate. I told him I did try communicating with him yesterday, and he got upset. I told him that the way he's currently speaking to me is with an aggressive tone, to which he replied, because I'm angry. This is ridiculous. I won't be married to someone who can't resolve simple issues.
What's
I won't
the
have
issue? I genuinely, OP, I want you to look husband in the eyes and be like, how do you want me to fix this?
Yeah.
How do you want me to fix the fact that I dated
Don't
a
fix
guy
this.
8 years ago that you've never met and I don't talk to
I'd
anymore?
go, how do fix?
You tell me the way to
how,
fix this.
How do fix?
The only
How
way
do
to
I
fix
fix?
this is within you, my guy. I won't have kids with that person. I'm filing for divorce.
Great.
So he took care of the issue himself. Good.
You took it away.
I responded that I don't want a divorce, and all I'm asking for is a little space for us to work through this. I don't remember what he responded with, but he didn't care that I said that, and I think again he just repeated that he was filing for divorce. After he said that, he left the house. The crazy part is I still don't feel much. I don't feel sad or angry, I'm just numb. Perhaps I'm over it, or it could be some kind of coping mechanism to protect myself. I've never spoken to friends or family about his retroactive jealousy because I love him and I didn't want them to think negatively about him. I think it's finally time I open up to my mother about it. I feel very alone. I'm not sure what to do or where to go from here. I've never been more in love with anyone in my life. He was caring, made me laugh, bought me flowers, supported me when I was laid off from my job, but I am just not sure I can be in this relationship anymore now with how he's acting. Not taking accountability, being rude to me, and instead of giving me the space I need, threatening divorce instead? Reddit, it would help to hear from you an outside perspective on this. I am too in it to think clearly at the moment. Even if no one responds, it would feel nice to be able to type this out. There are comments. My comment would be, I don't think he's ready for any kind of relationship until he fully works through his, his OCD.
He needs to get to the root of all that first. They can help him find ways to cope with that so that he can be in a relationship. But ultimately, there is nothing for OP to fix.
Yeah, and this all happened because they were at a concert and the musician was wearing a jersey from a sport the guy used to play. And you're going to let that ruin the whole...
That's
we have to
crazy.
leave. We have
Or
to
from the-
leave.
yeah.
That's
I don't
crazy.
even
Like,
know.
it's just a
It is.
Just the same sports team,
I
and you're
get-
like,
It's insane.
done.
like when you hear a name, you're like, all right, I get the ick from that name. We get that. Like the fact that this guy can see or like he smells grass. And he's like, oh my God, he slid on grass. I'm angry at you. Like what?
Yeah.
He needs some serious help, and I hope he gets it. And I hope that maybe he can come back and give OP the apology that is deserved.
Comments. Comment 1. You can't solve this problem because it's not your problem to solve. He needs to sort his stuff out. Seeing a person wearing a sports team merch shouldn't cause this much conflict in any relationship. You can't build your life around avoiding his trigger. And a reply says, to be clear, retroactive jealousy is something he's choosing to not treat. It's something therapy can really help with. So he is choosing to treat you like that. Why do you want to continue to deal with this? Comment 2 says, the divorce would be a gift, honestly. I don't know if this is genuine, but it's absolutely wild. Comment 3, relationship OCD sounds like a BS excuse for abuse to me. Be glad he's going. Reply to that says, I made a separate comment about this and was a little less pointed because I hate telling anyone they don't have an illness. But as someone with OCD, I'm like 70% sure this guy's on the RJ subreddit and self-diagnosed his own insecurities as OCD. Now he just lets it run wild. There really isn't a single thing about this post that flags as him having OCD. Not being able to get over something doesn't qualify it as OCD. Comment 4, I've suffered from retroactive jealousy and relationship OCD for many years, and the only person who could help me was me. I had to take control and accountability for my own behavior and my own healing. I've hurt many partners over the years. If he's not willing to help himself, you're better off divorcing so you can find someone who won't blame you for your past. I'm now happily married with a baby due in November. People can change, but they have to know they need to. And there's an update. What do we think? Are they divorcing?
I
Or is
think
he
that they're
therapying?
divorcing.
I think they're divorcing. If
It's
there's
unfortunate.
yeah, unless if they have like a genuine conversation and he doesn't like just point the finger at OP the entire time.
Right.
He actually takes accountability.
If he has some actual like come to moment of like, oh my God, like if I got help for this, we could make this work. But I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think this guy's gonna be like, I'm sorry for that. He's like, no,
Oy.
I feel like he's gonna come to this
Not
argument.
this quick anyway.
No, not
It's
at all. I feel like he's gonna be like, so you are wrong. I'm right. Divorce. Yeah.
I think that's where we're headed, folks. Update. I'm blown away at the amount of support this post has gotten. Thank you to everyone who has responded and to the mod of this post for giving me a great book recommendation. As many of you guessed, his threat of divorce was not real. For the first time in 4 years, I truly put my foot down and told my husband that I will no longer put up with this treatment. I told him that if he continues to choose not to seek help and instead continue to hurt me, then I'm not staying. And he knows I mean it. I told him I love him, but I love me and my mental health more. Since this long conversation, he has set up an immediate plan. Daily plan, morning reflection and meditation, medicine, vitamins, fluoxetine, magnesium, and omega-3. Workout, weekly plan, meet with the therapist.
Yes.
Start ERP. First session is scheduled for this weekend. Read 50 pages of self-help books. The Art of Letting Go, read by October 1st. The Happiness Trap, read by October 1st. Overcoming Retroactive Jealousy, read by October 15th. Brain Lock, Overcoming OCD, read by October 30th. And by the way, it doesn't matter what day it is, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime, and you can stream the whole archive right into your eardrums.
Right into him.
And let's get right into the end of this. I like where we're going.
I love it.
I want flux
I don't-
accountability.
Oh, okay. I don't
Flux
want him to
accountability.
overwhelm himself with a list of things that he's not going to do, though, at the same time. So, like,
That is true.
yes, I think everything sounds great. If you don't read those books by those dates, I think it's fine. But therapy!
Therapy!
Yay!
Therapy City! So, I told him that I support him, but that he needs to do deep reflection and work on himself before we can start rebuilding our relationship. I plan on leaving town this week to spend some time with my mother, and we'll be working on an exit plan to have just in case that day comes. I found a lot of strength and growth within myself throughout this process, and I'm very proud of myself. I can't describe how it felt going from feeling so isolated and alone to feeling like I have a community who supports me through this post. So, if you're scrolling and see someone who needs help, just know that your comment can make a big difference. Heart. And that is the end of that story.
My cousin's marriage crashed just months in, and none of us saw it coming.
Ah, the unexpected twist.
As the title indicates, my cousin, 32 female, let's call her Jill, and her husband, 30 male, let's call him James, ended their marriage this last week, and she is completely devastated. By the way, this comes from Individual Safety 900, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit, just like this person did. This is directly from that subreddit.
No.
Yes, it is. And I'm Angie.
I'm Riley.
And we're here to give good advice, goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We just know what we would do in this situation. So let us know what you would do in the comments. So, OP says, Friday afternoon, I, 37 female, was at home along with another of my cousins. Let's call her Lynn, 36 female. We were hanging out and prepping food for Easter Sunday. While we were chit-chatting away, I got a call from my mom saying that she had just gotten off the phone with her sister, Jill's mom, and that there was some terrible news. I put my phone on speaker so Lynn could listen too. We both thought the worst and assumed something had happened to my uncle, Jill's dad. His mental health has been slowly deteriorating due to the onset of dementia, but no, it had to do with our cousin, Jill.
Huh.
James had ended their marriage after just 10 months of being married, 9+ years of being together.
What?
Dude, that sucks. Now he's gonna get half of her assets in the divorce?
No.
No, dude, no.
It worked.
To say we were shocked is an understatement. Some info on Jill and James. Jill is beautiful, inside and out. She's hardworking, studious, incredibly kind. Keeps to herself, shy at first, but sweet and quirky once you get to know her. She's close to her family, loves her friends, and is a total gamer. Think Assassin's Creed, Sims, Red Passed Away, Redemption. James was in the military and was honorably discharged after an injury. After that, he went into law enforcement. His job is about 2 hours away from where Jill lives. He's polite, reserved at first, but warms up quickly. Also hardworking, family-oriented, helpful to his friends, and into gaming just like Jill. In addition to being a cop, he helps other veterans navigate the VA system to receive benefits.
All right.
Honestly, it always seemed like a really solid match. They met a little over 9 years ago at a country bar. It was love at first sight. Even when James had to be across the country for the military for 3 years, they made it work. They talked daily, gamed during his free time, and never seemed to miss a beat.
Aww.
From everything we saw, their relationship was loving, supportive, patient, and drama-free. No big fights, just occasional disagreements. Lots of mutual respect and encouragement. When James was discharged in 2020, he joined a police department 2 hours from where Jill lived. She was still living at home, working and studying to become an RN. Her goal was to eventually become an esthetician. Did not know it was spelled like that. Between her schedule and his academy training, they only saw each other on weekends for a while. Once James completed his training and probationary period, his schedule became more stable, though he still works night shifts. Before our grandmother passed away, our families had been talking about Jill and James and Jill's parents moving to where we live.
Oh, wow.
We live across the country. At first, Jill's parents didn't want to move right away. Between Jill's school, work, and the fact that Jill's mom was a full-time caretaker of our bedridden grandmother, it just wasn't feasible.
Got it.
2 years ago, James proposed after 7 years together. Everyone was thrilled.
Dude, I called that. I knew at the
You did say
7-year mark,
Yeah.
they got engaged. I called that.
Dude, how did you do that?
I
That's
just had a
crazy.
feeling. I'm calling the
just knew it.
story.
Yeah.
He had doubts before it, but since they were together for 7 years, he just pulled the trigger.
Yeah, dude. Props to you. Everyone was thrilled. Wedding was set for June of 2024. The day of the wedding was magical. I was a bridesmaid. The venue was breathtaking. This huge mansion overlooking the ocean. Jill looked absolutely gorgeous. James was teary-eyed as he looked at his bride. Overall, the day was perfect. Right after the wedding, they went on their honeymoon. When they got back, Jill officially moved in with James about 2 hours from her old home. Before the move, Jill had gone back to school to become a nurse practitioner. Since they had long-term plans to eventually move to my state, Jill knew that advancing her education was key to continuing her work down the line. She had even brought up transferring to a closer office so she could be nearer to James during the week. But James actually discouraged the idea, saying he knew how much she loved her current job, and since her school was closer to her parents' place, it made sense to stay put for now. So they agreed Jill would split her time, half the week at her parents' home, half at James. Not ideal for newlyweds, but they saw it as temporary.
Yeah.
They even decided not to invest in any new furniture or decorations for James' apartment, since a bigger move was coming eventually. My husband, also in law enforcement, kept in regular contact with James, offering guidance through the hiring process at his agency, talking about video games, and just staying connected. Everyone got along really well. Everything seemed solid. Then,
Except for under the curtains.
Then, just a week after their wedding, our grandmother passed away.
No.
She was like, I saw it. That's all I needed. That's all I needed, and I can pass away happy.
Oh, grandma with peace.
Oh, and now they're getting divorced, so.
Well, grandma doesn't have to see that.
Yeah, true. Yeah. My aunt, Jill's mom, had been my grandmother's full-time caregiver. It was exhausting for all of them, especially Jill, who had been balancing work, school, a long-distance relationship, and emotional stress. Unfortunately, her chance to decompress after our grandmother passed was short-lived because my uncle began showing more advanced signs of dementia. So, the role of caretaker continued. For weeks after my grandmother's passing, we were begging my aunt to move to our state so we could help her out with my uncle. My mom, over the last few years, had purchased 2 homes with the intention of having my aunt and uncle live in one and Jill and James in the other. But with my uncle's prognosis, my mom thought it was best that my aunt and uncle move in with her. My aunt didn't want to move yet. Her excuses were the following. Jill is studying and working in the area. Who's going to take care of her on the days she has to work or go to school? Who's going to take care of Churro, Jill's 6-pound Shih Tzu, a wedding gift from James, if James works nights and sleeps all day? We pointed out the obvious. Jill is a married woman now. These are things that she and James need to figure out as a couple. My aunt refused. She wanted to stay close, just in case Jill needed her. Jill is an only child. And for better or worse, that dynamic seems to be playing a big role in all of this. Fast forward to the present, we were utterly shocked when my mom told Lynn and I the news about James checking out of their relationship. From what my mom gathered, James told Jill that he was tired of their current living situation, didn't want to move out, and claimed he had given his all and was just done.
Wow. And they definitely had conversations about it, I'm guessing.
Hopefully.
He's like, I just can't do this anymore.
Like, just out.
That does suck. That living arrangement does not sound like fun.
Yeah, definitely not. Especially if they thought it was gonna be temporary, and then 10 months in, it's like, it's still the same.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's the same for reasons that are not ideal. Your dad is, or grandpa is,
Uncle.
Well, OP's uncle, but I think Jill's
Dad.
dad.
Somebody's uncle.
Somebody.
Someone's got dementia.
Might be
Grandma's
grandpa is getting. Yeah. I think it's the grandpa.
She's having to care for someone.
Yeah, that's not. I feel like that could be forgiven, especially if you're married and been together for 9+ years.
I don't know.
That's
But they've been also not together under the same roof for 9+ years continuously.
That's true. Then, as if to erase every trace of their life together, he deleted every single photo and video of Jill off all his social media accounts. Almost 10 years of memories completely gone. Like she never existed. Lynn and I immediately called Jill to try to understand what on earth was going on. There were never any signs, no red flags. James had always come across as responsible, reliable, and level-headed. That's when Jill told us something that shed a bit more light. About 2 months prior, James had come to her and admitted that he had been depressed for a while. He said it stemmed from the disturbing things that he'd been witnessing on duty. Oh, interesting. Something that unfortunately comes with the territory in law enforcement. He told Jill he didn't want to start dissociating from her or from the relationship and that he wanted to go to therapy. Jill, of course, supported him and encouraged him to get help. When I told my husband, also in law enforcement, he said it's vital for people in those fields to learn how to compartmentalize. If you don't, it'll eat away at your personal life and relationships.
You have to be a waffle. Not a bowl of noodles.
Keep the syrup in separate containers.
Exactly.
James also asked Jill to go to couples counseling. Jill admits that in that moment she panicked and said no. They'd never had issues like that before, so in her mind it felt sudden and unnecessary. It never came up again after that. Then James started saying that he felt lonely in his apartment. He missed having Jill around and said it didn't feel like a marriage. Jill tried to be understanding. They talked and agreed she'd commute back and forth every day, 4 hours round trip for work and school, only staying at her mom's on Mondays. Wow, that's a lot of work. Jill's mom even suggested to Jill that she reduce the number of hours at work and take on more classes so she'd finish sooner. Even with the changes that she had made to make him happy, James still wasn't content. Then Jill told us something else that raised red flags. About 4 months before everything ended, James started spending a lot more time with his new partner at work.
Oh no.
Interesting.
Does this partner have the same body parts as James?
As Jill, you mean?
Or as Jill?
Yeah.
What body parts does this partner have?
This coworker had recently gone through a divorce and was constantly texting and calling James about everything and anything. Now, Jill and James have always had a mutual understanding. If either one of them felt uncomfortable about a relationship the other one had, they'd talk it through and make changes out of respect. Jill brought up her concerns. She said she wasn't comfortable with how close James and this coworker had become outside of work, but instead of respecting her feelings, James dismissed them.
Dude, I need to know what's in the pants of this new coworker.
Is it something that James is attracted to?
Yes, what's happening here?
What's
Are they
the
just
deal?
two bros hanging out, or
Yeah.
like we getting down? What's happening?
He told her something along the lines of, why should I stop being friends with her if you and I are already going through our own issues?
Ow!
What kind of response is that?
No!
What do you mean?
Dang!
Yeah, what? Like, oh, because I'm having a problem in my new marriage, that means I have to be friends with people who are also going through a divorce.
Yikes,
Or I have
bro.
to, like, what?
I knew it. I knew there was cheating
Oh
involved.
my gosh.
Called it.
You did call it.
And I bet he's gonna be like, "Oh man, I wasn't about this in the beginning. I didn't like this arrangement."
Oh my gosh.
And it just seems like James and Jill went on with it because it was just like a family thing. Like everyone was like, "Oh, they're gonna make it. It's gonna be so beautiful." Blah 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 blah. I don't think either one of them actually wanted to do it.
The marriage?
Yeah,
I mean, they were together for so long. It was
But-
probably just implied that, like, well, yeah, I mean, we're practically
but we're now
already married.
learning James. I don't know. It just seemed like he was vibing with it.
He just had some sort of change once it happened.
He finally was near someone.
Gosh.
Her golly.
Then there was this one time James said he was heading to the gym. Jill said okay and asked him to let her know when he was done so they could meet up for lunch and spend some time together. Hours passed, 4 or 5, no texts, no calls, nothing. When he finally got back, Jill asked where he had been. His answer? He got a burrito and went to the beach by himself. This is the same guy who was saying he wanted more quality time with his wife, but then ghosted her for several hours.
I think he wanted more quality time with his coworker.
Sounds like it. Things just weren't adding up. James could see the confused and hurt look on Jill's face and told her, if you don't believe me, you're welcome to check my phone. So Jill did. At first, nothing seemed suspicious. But then she found 2 things that shattered what little hope was left.
Oh no.
A Venmo transaction from his coworker. The same day he claimed he was alone on the beach eating a burrito. Turns out he wasn't alone. He was with her. In his notes app, she found a draft of a letter addressed to her. In it, he blamed her for everything. His depression, his unhappiness, all of it. She didn't even finish reading it. She just put the phone back and tried to breathe. Dude, yeah, you called it, dude. Jill told us that in the 2 months James had been going to therapy, everything between them had gotten worse. She didn't even recognize him anymore. According to James, when his therapist asked what he wanted most in the world, his answer was my wife. So why wasn't that enough? Jill made changes, real changes to make things work. She drove 4 hours a day for work and school just to be home with him.
Oh my god.
She rearranged her entire life. God. But James was done. Nothing she did made a difference. Feeling like she had no choice, Jill went to her parents' house. That same week, James emailed her the same letters she'd found in his phone. Whoa, what? So she didn't tell James that that's what she saw?
He sent it anyways.
He's like, I already read that.
oh,
thank
dude,
you.
Grandma had the best time.
Yeah, good thing she didn't have to see this mess.
Oh my god.
My goodness.
She's probably in heaven looking down, like, oh no.
It's like, ah.
What's
my
happening?
sweet, my love. He blamed her for everything. That he was lonely, that things didn't change after marriage like he had hoped. You got married for change?
Why you want to live with her?
Mistake number one. That he would have been more apt to move if they lived together prior to marriage. That he did everything to make her happy and she didn't reciprocate. It was excuse after excuse. So she eventually called and asked to come talk in person. He agreed, but told her flat out, I've already made up my mind. Still, she went. Her mom drove her and her dog the 2 hours to his apartment and waited in the car. Jill said she was sobbing, begging, trying to understand how it all fell apart so fast. James kept telling her that he hadn't been happy for a long time, that he had been depressed and that she hadn't noticed, and that she should have found a job closer to him instead of driving back and forth all the time, that she hadn't made his apartment feel like it was their home, that he left the military for her. Not true. He was honorably discharged due to an injury, and he said that he was done. That is so insanely frustrating. The fact that he was like, oh, I hate that you live there. Like, can you come drive to me? You live with me, but drive 4 hours every day for the things you are living over there for.
Yeah.
And now he's all, oh, I hate that you were driving so far.
I would have moved for you.
Yeah. It's like, well, you didn't. So
Yeah.
you had the opportunity.
This just shows they were holding up to other people's like wants and desires for them instead of actually doing it for themselves.
Maybe. I mean, maybe she thought that everything was okay, or maybe things were like this in the past and she just didn't really notice.
She was just doing this for grandma.
And maybe there were, maybe there were things where he had these expectations for her, maybe made her feel guilty for certain things that weren't necessarily her fault, and
Dude,
they ended up getting married.
Maybe he was just in it for grandma, and then it just hasn't hit the same since she's been gone.
It's like, well, now that she can't see us be happy, I mean, what else are we doing? What's the point? Jill was confused. These were all things that had already been discussed before and during the start of their marriage. Why was he using them as an excuse now? She asked him to do couples counseling to see what the real root of the issue was, because everything he was blaming her for wasn't making sense. James said no. It was too late. Amid all of her crying and pleading, James went to the kitchen and started eating a bowl of yogurt. The love of your life is breaking down in front of you, and you're eating a yogurt like it's a normal Tuesday. She packed all of her important things in order to leave. Jill said that they hugged and said, I love you to each other. James tells Jill that he won't be able to love anyone like he loved her and to not wait for him to change his mind. Then he said the most confusing thing yet. He didn't want a divorce. He wanted time to see if these feelings went away. Bro.
AKA,
what?
If he could work it out with his new partner or not.
Yeah, exactly.
You were right on that end.
Yeah, right? Like,
This is so
pow,
back
pow,
and
pow.
forth.
Pow, pow, pow. What? How do you throw away a nearly 10-year relationship, say you're done, but then just say, well, let's stay married? Jill said that she doesn't want to live without him. She wanted to work through it, but if he was telling her to move on, then why stay married? Here's another note. He also said that they could stay married so she can keep using his health insurance. Like being on his health insurance plan was some sort of severance for their time together. Lynn and I told Jill that she tried to do everything she could to make James happy, and he decided to unilaterally make the decision to end things. If therapy was the one thing that James was so adamant about, then he should have been more persistent about it, not just drop the subject. When Jill and James came in November 2024 for my brother's wedding, they had mentioned coming in May 2025 for my daughter's 3rd birthday. Just last month, Jill said they booked their flight for May. Also, in February 25, my husband found a concert in Las Vegas that had a lot of the good punk pop bands from the early 2000s. I got us 4 tickets for the We Were Young concert, and that was set for October 25. James and I even had discussed about whether to purchase general admin or VIP tickets. James insisted on the VIP tickets because they would have access to more private restrooms since Jill has a shy bladder. Sure. These weren't the actions of someone preparing to leave. After about an hour on the phone, Lynn and I told Jill that we loved her and that whatever she decides with her relationship, we'll support her. If she wants, she can move out sooner to our state. We also said that she needs to think long and hard if she even wants to be with someone who can just throw away an almost 10-year relationship without getting to the root of the issue. If they do decide to get back together, she will always have in the back of her mind that fear that if she says or does the wrong thing, that he will leave her. She will constantly be walking on eggshells and never really be at peace because the trust has been broken. She said, I know. We said our goodbyes. Lynn and I were emotionally exhausted. We told everything to my husband, and he was just as confused as we were. It took everything in us not to call or message James. My husband said that James was an idiot and that he's never going to find anybody as wonderful as Jill. If you were to tell me that they were always arguing or at each other's throats, then I would have said that this was bound to happen. But both of them have admitted to not having fights, and we never saw anything that would indicate that their marriage was in trouble. Some might assume that he was having an affair with his coworker. That was our first thought too. Everything fell apart too fast, and the only two new variables were the partner and therapy. But then we found out that the coworker is sapphic, so an affair seems unlikely.
What? He probably figured that out and was like, oh no, actually, I don't know what to do with myself now.
Let me see if I can convince her like men, and then I'll come back to the marriage if not.
Yeah.
But also, who are we finding out this from? Is James saying that? Because they clearly went on a date. You don't blow off lunch with your wife to go have lunch with your coworker if you're not trying to date them. You know what I mean?
I don't even know, man. This is all
I
crazy.
could just see that being something where James is like, yeah, no, you don't worry about her because she's,
Oh, she might be bye.
Or just not at all. He's just lying. That's what I'm thinking.
I
don't know. But something still feels off. Maybe the coworker, bitter from her own divorce, planted seeds of doubt. Maybe James leaned on her too much and let her influence him. Or maybe it's someone else entirely. Because let's be honest, erasing every single trace of Jill from his social media is not normal. That's scorched earth behavior. Yeah, I forgot about that too. He did that. Who goes out of their way to erase everything about their relationship but still wants to remain married? My husband asked why Jill initially said no to couples counseling. It's a fair question. But honestly, I think most of us would have reacted the same. If you think everything is fine and suddenly your partner suggests counseling, it feels like they're hiding something. It would be natural to ask, what are you not telling me? I also talked to my brother, and we think James might have orchestrated the whole thing.
Huh.
The phone search, the draft letter conveniently left in the notes, the way he dismissed Jill's feelings and pulled away, almost like he was trying to push her to end things so he could play the victim.
Oh, that does make sense because he's saying,
yeah, that does happen.
He's not making a decision. He's putting it on Jill to make the decision.
Yeah.
And he's being buried back and forth, just waiting for her to say something.
Yeah.
Ugh. The problem is this guy's not saying what he actually wants. Thus, it's just complicating things. He's just being weird.
Yeah. It's so weird. And I feel like when people are being confusing like that, it's like, okay, that's done. If you're leaving plot holes and saying things that are just completely the opposite of what you just said 2 seconds ago, it's like, you know exactly what you think. I'm not even going to say that you don't know what you want. You know what you want, and you don't know how to deal with it, and you don't know how to make your own decisions.
Yeah.
So you're not someone that I'm going to trust, and that's not something that you would do with someone that you love. It's not an act of love. But it didn't work out as he planned, and he ended up having to end their marriage and blame her over things that had been discussed and mutually agreed upon. I'm almost positive that his own family wasn't aware of the situation because each of them loved Jill. He probably knew if he told his family that he was going to end things with Jill, they would have told him he was being an idiot. And you would not be an idiot if you listen to full episodes of stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever favorite podcast app you choose. Just search OK Storytime. There is a little bit more to the story, but there are too many people like this in the world.
There really are.
Too many people.
Where do you guys go to school? And how can we shut this school down?
The whole school?
The school of being people like this.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what class do you even call it? What's the intro class called? How are you guys always doing this?
Yeah. Everything James has said and done, according to Jill, has been a left turn, and we are all left with more questions than answers. We keep showering Jill with love, checking in, lifting her up. At some point, Jill will have to take all of her grief and sadness and turn it into anger. When she does, that will be the beginning of her healing. All I want is for Jill to find her strength again, to know she's not alone, that Lynn and I and all of us are here. If you made it this far, I want to say thank you for reading. I'm not sure what will happen next with Jill and James. I'm not sure if there will be an update, and there isn't. That's the end of that story.
I refused to let my baby go with my mother-in-law because she is over-involved.
You get your nose out of my business.
My baby. I, 29 female, am currently pregnant with my first child with my fiance, 30 male. We've been together for 5 years. Also, we are Europeans, and English is not my mother tongue. Overall, I've had a good relationship with my mother-in-law. She's always been kind to me, but I've also noticed over time that she will always defend her kids no matter what. That loyalty is sweet, but sometimes it feels like it blinds her to reality. And by the way, this comes from user Internal Routine 4777 on the r/Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
And I'm Angie.
And I'm Riley.
And OP says, since I got pregnant, she's been extremely involved. His whole family has, actually. My sister-in-law organized my baby shower. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law bought most of my nursery furniture, and everyone is super excited. I really do appreciate their support, but mother-in-law specifically has been a little too enthusiastic. For example, sister-in-law was in charge of planning the baby shower and the gender reveal. She was the only one who knew the baby's gender. The whole thing was supposed to be a surprise for my fiance and me. Well, mother-in-law couldn't help herself. She tried to insert herself into the planning, and she revealed multiple details ahead of time, completely spoiling the surprise. She even called sister-in-law, trying to get the baby's gender out of her beforehand. Then, when the gender was revealed, she immediately walked in front of the camera, shouting, "I knew it! I told you so!" And then spent the entire party repeating that she had lots of baby name ideas if we needed help. No, thank you. We specifically told them we didn't want to tell them the name we chose before baby's birth. Another thing is mother-in-law has already bought tons of stuff. Clothes, toys, and even diapers. She even bought a cot bumper for baby's bed, even though I told her it was dangerous. She tends to say things like, "Oh, that's nonsense. When I was pregnant, we didn't make such a fuss."
'Cause you're old. Old alert. But I guess that'd be calling yourself old, too, if that's your mom.
Yeah, exactly. I don't
Dang.
know. But it's more just like hey, things change. Shut up.
Yeah.
Please, stop it.
Exactly.
Just like, remember, they used to have like little cages they would hang outside of high-rise windows that you were supposed to put your baby in because it got them fresh air in an urban environment. Should we still do that, Mom?
Right.
Miss Mother-in-law? Would you like me to put my baby in a cage suspended over 25 stories so they can get fresh air? I don't think so.
That's crazy.
The same goes for food restriction. The twist is all of these things are meant to stay at her house for when she keeps the baby. Here's the issue. I don't want my baby going to her house. Here are my reasons. She smokes. I used to smoke too, so I'm not judging her, but she smokes in the house. Every time we visit, I wear old clothes and don't wash my hair because everything reeks afterwards.
Oh, wow.
I don't want my newborn in that environment. Why? So you don't want him to get tough?
You don't want your baby to be a cool smoking baby?
You don't want to have a cool smoking tough guy baby?
What do you mean?
Her home life is unstable. My in-laws are on the brink of divorcing due to father-in-law's drinking habits. I won't go into details, but I don't want my child around that tension. Her parenting record isn't super reassuring either. My fiance and his sister have casually shared stories about how they fell off beds and changing tables as babies while under their mom's care.
Oh my gosh.
Do they remember?
They've got the brain damage to prove it.
At least the parents are kind enough to be like, I did let you fall off of that changing table a couple times.
Yeah, a couple times.
I'm pretty sure I'd keep that pretty close to the vest if it was my kid. I'd be like, did you ever drop me? I'd be like, no.
No. You
No?
did roll off and I didn't catch you. But I didn't drop you. Though.
Yeah, I didn't drop you. You were just obsessed with falling down.
I couldn't stop that.
Accidents happen, but it doesn't inspire a ton of confidence. I'm planning to stay home with the baby for at least a year. I'm taking extended maternity leave, and I plan to front airbag feed. So there's no need for childcare help right now. I'm not even sure why she's acting like it's a given that she'll be watching the baby. I get that she's excited, and I get that she means well, but I can't help feeling anxious and frustrated about how pushy she's being. And I'm the one being made to feel like the bad guy for saying no. So would I be the a-hole for not wanting my baby to go to her house? And we have some comments. But first.
No, definitely not. I mean, you're looking out for your baby's safety and health with the smoking stuff. And it is just kind of weird. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know people babysit and stuff, but I feel like if I were to babysit any of my, like, you know, baby nieces or nephews, I would probably go to their house and not bring the baby back with me. So it's kind of weird that initially from the start she was like, yeah, these are all stuff for like newborns, but they'll stay at my house for when I have the newborn over. It's like
super crazy.
Yeah.
Where
Like,
it's just like,
how
I'm
often-
getting you all this stuff, but it's mine.
right. It's like, what?
Comment number 1, blame your pediatrician. She'll be glad to take the heat. Junior's pediatrician specified that he cannot be exposed to cigarette smoke. Nothing personal. It is a health issue. Thank you for being so supportive. Not the a-hole. Reply. Mother-in-law will just promise not to smoke in the house while the baby is there. So it's important to stress that the baby cannot be in a home that is saturated with nicotine and tobacco toxins on the walls, ceilings, on and in the furniture. Furthermore, I wouldn't allow a smoker to hold my baby. The baby will smell awful afterwards. When I smoked, I never held my brother's baby for this exact reason. Gently tell your mother-in-law this is a good time to quit smoking. What could be more motivating than the love of a grandchild? If she chooses cigs over her grandbaby, then that's on her. Update.
Let's get right into it.
Baby's arrival. Great movie. Our son came a month early. Labor went well, but because he was premature, we had to stay in the NICU for 2 weeks. At the hospital, visits weren't allowed in the NICU. Only my fiancé could come. Mother-in-law got impatient after a few days and wanted to visit. My fiancé explained the rules, but a nurse had told him that sometimes visits through a glass window were possible. Mother-in-law came with him, and to my surprise, they actually let both of them in.
Oh my gosh.
She was overjoyed, respectful, and kept her distance. She did smell like smoke, though. Later, she texted me to thank me for letting her visit, even though I didn't really have a choice. Back home, because he was premature, we delayed visits and asked people to keep their distance. No one was allowed to hold him, but of course mother-in-law was the exception. On her first visit, she immediately asked to hold him. My fiancé wasn't thrilled, but didn't manage to say no. When he told her to be careful, she snapped, "I've had 3 kids. I know what I'm doing." Honestly, her holding the baby makes me so uncomfortable. I don't even know if it's the smoke, the perfume, the gum, or all of it, but I can't stand it when she holds him. Weirdly, I loved seeing my mom and sister hold him for the first time, but not mother-in-law. Doesn't sound weird to me. She smokes right before coming, even though we've told her not to.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes she forgets to wash her hands, like when she puts his pacifier back in his mouth right after smoking. She thinks chewing gum cancels out the smoke. And worst of all, she kisses him all over his face. Yeah, my fiance has said something multiple times, but she just doesn't get it.
This is where we just don't let her come over. This is where, hey, girl, we've told you not to, and you've done it. You've done even worse things, like freaking smooching his face with your cigarette breath. Your cigarette breath. And I'm sorry, until this baby maybe gets a little bit older, like a few years older, I don't want you, I can't have you around like this.
Yeah.
It's not a premature newborn.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Gross.
Yep.
I'd just be like, first of all, stop kissing the baby on the face. A lot of comments are being like, yeah, if she smokes or not, stop kissing the baby on the face.
Yeah.
You're going to get the baby sick.
Yeah.
The babysitting issue. My biggest fear was her insisting on keeping him at her house. So far, that hasn't happened, but my fiance did bring it up to her, and she got angry. She said it wasn't fair that she couldn't babysit at her house just because of her heavy drinking husband. Sounds like a good reason to me. My fiance told her that maybe she could babysit at our place instead, which I'm still not thrilled about. For now, I've avoided the situation. Honestly, I don't think I'll ever feel comfortable with her babysitting while she lives with father-in-law. But by the way, you can live with us for 71 days if you listen to every episode with stories just like this one that we have on Spotify or iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search the name of our show, OK Storytime, and you can listen to all of them. 71 days straight.
And by the time you get there, it'll be like 82 days.
Yeah, and I don't want you sleeping.
Yeah, you can't.
No, I'm just kidding. You can sleep.
For 82 days straight, you are not allowed to.
Not
allowed to.
So there is a little bit more story left. Honestly, I think gross smoker access to the perfect little baby needs to be limited.
Yeah.
Here's where things stand as of now. My fiance supports me and understands my concerns, but it's hard for him since it's his mom. Mother-in-law is honestly very sweet to me and texts often, and I do love her, but she just doesn't respect boundaries and constantly says, well, back in my day, we didn't make such a fuss. I haven't set firm boundaries because I'm scared of hurting her. Being a grandma is one of the things making her happy right now, and she's in a toxic marriage she can't leave. I don't want to make her life harder, but I also feel really uneasy about the smoking, the kisses, the dismissive attitude towards safety. I'm stuck between not wanting to hurt her and wanting to protect my baby. And there are some comments. Comment 1. Tell your man that he needs to grow a spine and stop letting his mom kiss all over your baby's face. The kid is going to end up with sores, the H. herpes sores on his face, or asthma from being all around her cigarette smoke. Make it a condition that the next time she holds the baby, if she kisses it on the face, she loses baby privileges for at least 2 weeks. She made the babysitting thing about fairness to her and not the baby's safety. That alone is alarming. I hope husband realizes how bad of a sign that is. The kissing thing won't stop because there are no consequences to mother-in-law for breaking the rule and risking baby's health. Next visit, do not let baby within kissing distance. And when she asks why, tell her it's the only way to keep baby healthy, since she's shown she will kiss baby if baby is close enough. If she rages over it, just get her out of there. Comment number 3. The kissing him all over his face would get a hard no from me. Here in the UK, a nationwide survey of 2,300 new and expectant parents conducted by the Lullaby Trust found that 54% would let friends and family kiss their newborn baby, unaware of the risk of serious infection because their little baby immune systems need to develop.
They're brand new.
They're brand new.
They're brand new in the world.
And honestly, once they kick in, bulletproof.
Bulletproof baby.
But
Song number 2.
honestly, the immune system is so crazy I could get into it. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
How perfect it is. Anyway, despite the risk, 63% of new and expecting parents would feel uneasy asking visitors not to touch their baby, worried that they would offend someone or hurt their feelings or be labeled an overprotective parent. However, the charity warns that young babies have immature immune systems and are particularly susceptible to infections. Even infections that cause mild symptoms such as a common cold in adults and other children can be life-threatening for babies, advises Jenny Ward, Chief Executive of the Lullaby Trust. The risk of passing on infections to young babies can be greatly reduced by following simple hygiene measures. Nevertheless, 1 in 3 new and expectant parents wouldn't ask visitors to wash their hands before holding their baby. Ew, gross. OP's mother-in-law would have a strict list of rules to adhere to if I were in her position. And that is the end of that story.
My sister-in-law demanded her children be at my wedding, but I don't want them there.
Get those kids out of my sight.
I, 32 female, and my future husband, 34 male, are getting married in 4 months. My sister-in-law, Amy, has twin girls that will be 12 months old and a 6-year-old son. So a year old and a 6-year-old son.
Yeah.
By the way, this comes from Everlasting Sunshine. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Dakota.
I'm Keon.
Oh. And we'll try to give our best advice, but we haven't experienced most of these situations ourselves. So if you have, let us know your take in the comments. And OP says, prior to the twins being born, I had a conversation with Amy where she said to me she was looking forward to knowing at the 12-month mark there would be a child-free evening where she could let loose and she didn't want her kids there. I said that we would love to have our 6-year-old as the flower boy, and we agreed that he would be part of the ceremony and then be driven the short distance home to join his sisters with a babysitter during the reception. Fast forward to now. Amy is shopping for dresses for the twins for the wedding day. I was confused to hear about it and asked why. Amy seems to have forgotten our conversation and wants her twins at the wedding. I've been gentle, but I have said that it was only the 6-year-old that was planned to be there, and I wasn't too keen on the younger kids being there. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law are upset with my future husband and I about this decision. Mother-in-law has pushed for the whole family to be in the photographer's family portraits on the day, as the whole family will be together and dressed nice. Sister-in-law has said, your family deserves to be at your wedding, and has also said she doesn't want the 6-year-old to be attending events without the twins because he has trouble adjusting to them, and is always asking to leave them behind. That 6-year-old's like, I don't want my siblings there.
Yeah, ew, gross. No. Ew.
Sister-in-law doesn't want to encourage that behavior by having him attend anything without them. And so she has said that either all her kids come or none will. This conversation was tense, and I am very conflict avoidant. I left it there unresolved. Future husband doesn't want the twins there, as they do summon a considerable amount of attention, and he wants people focused on us. I don't really care if they are there or not, but I do feel like I've been dismissed by sister-in-law and mother-in-law, and they've tried to change plans without letting me know, and then tried to guilt trip me when I called it out. Now, it kind of feels like an ultimatum is being set, and the whole attitude around it has me wanting to put my foot down and push back. My future husband and I have offered up some compromises. We are having a gathering with all the same people the night before the wedding, and all their side of the family will be around for the morning after the wedding, where the twins would be welcomed there, and we would be able to get some great photos and have time together, but we would still have our wedding be child-free with the exception of Flower Boy. But this was just completely dismissed. I just want to know if I'm overreacting by saying they can't attend. You have some relevant comments.
Straight up, always the same answer. It is your wedding.
Yeah.
Your wedding, your rules.
The issue that they're having here, though, is that they will be down a Flower Boy. If the twins can't come, the 6-year-old's not coming. Which is a poopy
Get the best man to be the flower boy.
I was gonna say,
it's funny.
I feel like if you
I
ask
think that's
somebody
actually
in
they
like
did that.
already in the wedding, like best man, or somebody else that you're really close with, that's not a part of the wedding,
Yeah.
you can find a replacement that's not, that difficult.
There's
I
a
don't think.
reason
Doesn't
they
have to
give
be
the
a kid.
job to a child. It is very easy to do.
Very.
You can find someone to
true.
do that.
Yeah. We have some relevant comments. Commenter 1, it's your wedding, and sister-in-law and mother-in-law should have been more respectful about how they approached you about these concerns. That having been said, I would gently suggest that you and your fiance may want to rethink how you're handling this. It is unusual to invite one child and not other siblings, and I don't follow the concern about 12-month-old twins stealing attention from you. If you hold firm, which is absolutely within your right, it means there will possibly be lingering hard feelings with your sister-in-law and mother-in-law going forward, and that you need to be okay with that. Just my 2 cents. And OP responds, yes, I know it's weird to invite just one sibling.
Is it that weird when the other siblings are a year old? They're babies. They're infants, basically.
Yeah,
Like,
they're not
that's-
going to remember it. The 6-year-old probably will remember it, though.
Who even wants to bring infants to a wedding when you could have a babysitter?
Yeah.
Like, where is the desire to do that?
That was the whole thing, is she was so excited about having, not having to have the twins there for the
Right.
night.
They had talked about it before, and
She
it was
just-
cool. It
And
was
now
part
she's
of the
just wanting to
plan.
be like, no, the 6-year-old needs to know his sisters have to come with him. And it's like, okay, but we can make one exception.
Yeah, it just seems like a weird place to start being like, we need to teach him to protect his sibling.
Right. Yes, I know it's weird to just invite one sibling. That's just how the original conversation landed, and it made sense at the time. We have a DIY venue, and keeping things in budget, we have family and friends helping out with a few things. Amy's husband was given the job of dog minder for our large dog. Mother-in-law was to make the dog the flower girl and the ring bearer.
Yeah.
Mother-in-law was to be performing as wedding coordinator type role. We feel like that's a lot to handle if you're chasing around twins. It's not so much about stealing any spotlight, it's more about things running smoothly. Hope that makes a bit more sense. And commenter 2 says, hold up, your large dog will be there and needs a handler? The handler is the father of the twins. The twins can't attend because they will be a distraction, but I think the dog must also be a distraction that requires a handler. If I were Amy, I'd be upset that my husband was assigned dog duty, and then we were told our kids weren't welcome. I just don't think you can ask people to DIY it for you so you can save money, and then also tell them unpaid labor to pay for a babysitter so you can have your preferred child-free wedding. Sounds to me like Amy's family is providing a lot. Flower boy, dog wrangler, and possibly more, and you and your fiance aren't being very considerate of that. And I don't agree with that commenter. I think if they want their dog there, they can have their dog there. And that that kids that are not yours can come after your dog because it's your wedding.
Same thing. Your wedding, your rules. But like also like people can decide not to come to your wedding based on your rules.
And also,
but it's your wedding.
You could make someone else the dog handler if they're willing, if he needs to watch the twins. I'm sure someone would be down to chill with the dog all night.
It's me, the dog minder.
Commenter 3. I would compromise and agree that, okay, no kids whatsoever then, and go without a flower boy. I almost feel like a 6-year-old little boy would be just as much of a loud distraction as 2 1-year-olds. And your entire wedding is child-free anyways, so it would be odd that one single small child is the exception to that. Just avoid the whole thing and leave all the kids out of it. OP responds, yes, I feel like that's a great option. Totally unfair on the 6-year-old though, as he's been told all about it and he's so excited. I don't want to do that to the poor kid. OP on should she get her fiancé to deal with his mother and sister. OP says, we are working on this together. This post is from my perspective for the purpose of sharing it with him in a moment. And then OP responds to a comment on her future husband wanting time and space to have his parents' full attention for the wedding and not being distracted by the twins. OP says, you're spot on. Future husband and I have given a lot to his parents, so they can be around to help with the grandkids. We have had them living in our home for the past 5 years because we live close to sister-in-law. What that means is for the past 5 years, every outing, event, or conversation has revolved entirely around these 3 children. It's become quite difficult for us, and future husband wants one day that's not about them. There's obviously other reasons too, but this is for sure a contributing factor. Commenter 4 says, in quotes, I don't really care if they are there or not. If you don't really care, then allow them to be at the ceremony and in the pictures, then go to a babysitter for the reception. Ultimately, and years down the road, you may find that you are happy you have pictures with all of the family in them. OP says, this is the easy option for sure, but it's not just me. Future husband is passed away set against it. I get why. Our lives have all revolved around these kids for such a long time. The mother-in-law and father-in-law have lived with us for the past 5 years because we live so close to sister-in-law, and they want to be around to help. But especially in the last 6 months, we have been asking them to sort out their living plans long-term as we don't want them with us forever, and we are planning starting our married life, planning our own family, and there's a lot on hold waiting for them to leave. The twins are their excuse to stay, while paying no rent, no groceries, and no bills. But the twins need us. It's true, but it's also made future husband resentful, and me a bit too. Future husband wants a day that doesn't revolve around them. We have an update. Yeah, I feel like the husband needs to tell this to his family, which I'm sure he's about to do. I
gotta do it.
But it sounds like he's the one that's way more dead set against it. So I feel like coming from him, maybe the family will actually be like, okay, like maybe they'll hear him more.
I would certainly hope so.
As their direct family, I don't know. It's not right.
Gotta use those words. Gotta use them. You're the relevant party. You gotta use your words.
We have an update. A bit over 1 month later. So future husband and I were invited to the twins' first birthday this week. As much as I knew this was not the right time or place to have a discussion about a tense topic involving the exclusion of these 2 babies, it came up. Context: 1 week ago, future husband spoke to his brother-in-law, who is the father of the twins, and again said that the babies were not invited to the wedding. I wasn't there and don't have further context on how this came up or how the conversation was handled and received. When we were around the dinner table for the birthday get-together, future husband left the room for 1 minute. That was the moment sister-in-law said to me, I'd like to check with you about what future husband said about the wedding. He said the babies weren't invited to the ceremony or reception. So, is that right? I said, yeah, that's our plan. This is not news to her. See last post. This has been my stance since before these kids were born. And by the way, it's my stance that you should always listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, favorite podcast app, search up OK Storytime. There's a little bit more.
Oh yeah, baby.
But what you thinking?
I think this should have been not even an issue. I think it should have been as simple as
It's my wedding.
bride and groom saying, here's what we want, here's what we're looking at, here's what we're thinking. And everyone going, all right,
Yeah.
I can either do that or I can't do that.
I agree. You set the options and they are like, cool.
Yeah, not to mention, they literally agreed to this before. All
right,
of that.
this was an option that they were down for. Well, no, they were down for none of them coming or all of them coming. We don't know if
Well, at the
6-year-olds can
very
come.
beginning, they were okay with it.
Yeah,
The very beginning, it was,
this was the plan.
well, yeah,
Years
you're
in the
not going to
making.
bring the 1-year-olds.
Yeah, and you were excited about having that night off. I excused myself shortly after and made myself busy in another room. Future husband sat at the table and apparently laid down the law with his family over this and some other issues. We left shortly after, but before we went, sister-in-law said to me, I respect that this is what you want, but I am really upset. Part of me feels so guilty that I've upset her. Also, though, your husband was the more dead set one, and don't feel bad. Part of me is annoyed and perplexed by her apparent shock at this information, as if we didn't have this conversation a month ago. We have some comments. Commenter 1, you really should have said in front of everyone, like we talked about back whatever month, our plan has been no babies. Drive the 6-year-old home after the wedding. You said you were looking forward to a night without the kids. Bet you $1 they're trying to get free fancy family portraits out of the deal. I'd be tempted to let them, and then not give them the photos of just their family. Oh, we didn't have the photographer touch up every photo. You can call them and buy those photos yourself. Opie says, I did hear her say to future husband something like, those photos are for a lifetime. Her babies being in the photos has come up several times. I don't understand that. These kids won't feel any attachment to an event that they don't remember from when they were 1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stop it.
And what is OP's plan if her sister-in-law shows up to the wedding with the twins? OP says, I have a feeling future husband will have dealt with that before I make my way down the aisle. That's the end of that story.
And that is the end of that.
I refuse to make my sister a coworker of my business. Now I'm the villain. I, 28 female, run my own business as a seamstress, selling clothes I've made as well as doing alterations. I've been open for 2 years and I do steady business. My primary income from my business is the alterations I do. By the way, this comes from Tossaway account 1800, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Angie.
And we try to give our best advice, but we haven't experienced most of these situations ourselves. So if you have, let us know what you would do in the comments. Today, I have a sister, 29 female, who we'll call Lana. Lana is currently a recovering heavy drinker, and I'm trying my best to support her. Due to DUIs, she has been struggling to find a job, and her mental health isn't helping her keep any job she finds. I feel really bad for her, and while we were visiting my parents on Monday, I made the offer that she could work for me. When I made the offer, I said that she could work inventory and register like a normal employee. She seemed pretty on board, but said she would have to think about it since she didn't want to leech off me. Our parents were also really on board and encouraging, and they thought this would be a great opportunity for both of us. Wednesday, my mom called me and asked if the building would now be in both Lana and my names. I asked her what she meant, and she said, since Lana is a co-owner, her name should be on the lease. Huh? I told her it wouldn't because she wouldn't be co-owner. I made it clear to my mother that Lana would be like any other employee. The reason I wanted her to work with me is so if she relapsed, she wouldn't risk losing her job again since I know what she's going through. Mom beat around the bush trying to convince me to make Lana co-owner. And I repeatedly told her, no, not only for Lana's sake, but also for the sake of my business. I don't think Lana would be a bad co-owner, but at this time she's still fairly unstable, and I don't want her to get stressed and fully break her sobriety. I made this clear to my mother in our phone call before she eventually gave up. I thought that was the end of it. A few hours later, Lana called to ask if I hired her, what she would be doing. I told her the same thing I said at dinner, that she would mostly be doing inventory, register, etc. She asked if she would help with any of the clothes. I told her, when she learned to sew, I would consider it. She accepted and seemed excited with the arrangement since both of us have always loved fashion. We agreed I would host an interview with her at the end of the next week on my day off. My dad called me yesterday, scolding me about the position I was putting Lana in, and was telling me a meaner version of what my mother was saying. He continuously tried to hound me to give Lana a higher position. I was getting really frustrated, and I told him that if he and Mom wouldn't stop pushing, I just wouldn't hire Lana at all. My dad called me a terrible sister before hanging up. I called Lana and told her what happened and my words about not hiring her. She got upset with me, and I apologized and told her I still wanted her to work with me. I just didn't want the drama with Mom and Dad. She understood, but is still upset with me that I would even say that, even in the heat of the moment. Am I the a-hole? Some of OP's comments. One commenter says, not the a-hole, but you probably didn't need to relay the entire conversation with your parents to your sister. You were both happy with the arrangement, so your parents can butt out. Stick to your original plan and stop trying to justify yourself to your entitled parents. OP says, yeah, Lana and I have always been really close, so I automatically tell her everything, but it's a bit late now. But you and the other commenter are right that I need to start standing up for myself against my parents more. Commenter says, your parents have put you in an impossible position. I don't suppose they were offering to buy out half the business to give to your sister. OP says no, but they did help me find the building my business is in, as well as help me move some of my stuff into the building and get it set up. That's just like, if everyone that helps someone move into their place automatically got a share of the business,
Right.
There would be a lot of split businesses.
There'd be a whole lot, especially with parents.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you've got a small business and your parents have free
Yeah.
time,
My
I'm
parents
sure
helped me
they'll
moved
help
into
out.
this place. Do they get to live here now? They haven't paid off anything related to my business, unless you count the sewing machine they got for me when I was 13. That started my love of clothes making. But I think that earlier help is why they think they have such a say in all this. Commenter says, look at it this way. Not as if your sister was a stranger applying for a job. Granted, a lot of this wouldn't be on an application, but would you hire someone with multiple DUIs, mental health issues, and a heavy drinker? I'm assuming the answer would be no. No and no. Not the a-hole. OP says, yeah, I wouldn't. But I can't bring myself not to help her, even if she would be a terrible hire on paper if she wasn't family. And even then, it's something she likes to do, and I'll be there to support her, rather than metaphorically tossing her to the wolves if she worked with other people. I don't know, I just want to help her out, but thank you for commenting. And commenter says, you seem to have turned out very well for having two completely delusional parents. Kudos. OP says, LOL, thanks, but all this is actually coming really out of the blue for them. My dad has always been really level-headed, and my mom was the one who taught me family should always be put first, which is why their demands are so weird. Especially since at dinner, I told them exactly what Lana would be doing, and they seemed fine with it. To another commenter, sometimes I wonder if my parents still think we're teenagers arguing over who gets to drive the family car. As I said in a previous comment, their behavior is really out of the blue since they've always been really sweet and supportive when it came to my business. I want to believe they might just be misunderstanding something, or maybe they're just stressed trying to help Lana as best they can and taking that stress out in the wrong places. I'm just hoping this gets resolved before I interview Lana next week. Top commenter says, not the a-hole. Ask your dad if he would give away half his business to a wasted sibling who has no experience, because that's what your mother is demanding. OP says, yeah, especially since Lana is currently living with them while she recovers. They know exactly how she's doing and that she isn't fit to run a business. I have no doubt she'll be a great employee since she's always been the type to put her best foot forward in all she does. But with where she is at the moment, I think the stress would make her relapse. Commenter says, I suspect they know she's going to crash and burn at this job, and their only mental way out of the doomsday scenario is to believe that this is a permanent gig that she can't be fired from. That doesn't excuse what they've done, however. I feel like the commenters are really hammering in on the, like, Lana's gonna drink on the job and she's gonna be terrible. And that's, like, really not at all the problem here.
Yeah, the problem is literally the parents.
Yeah.
And I feel like OP has made a great point about how, like, yeah, co-owning is actually a big job. That's not a big job. That's not just like, oh, cool, I get a lot of money. It's like, no, you have a lot of responsibility.
So much more responsibility.
Yeah, like the reason that it's not just like maybe some of these comments are saying of like, Lana just can't keep these other jobs because she's like unstable or whatever. It's like, well, I mean, if she's not in a super stable place and it's hard to keep jobs that way, it doesn't mean that she like can handle the responsibility right now. And that's fine. Like maybe someday she can, but
No, I think there needs to be sort of balance in this story. Like, one, the parents need to realize that she's not ready for
the parents need to be sympathetic.
And then the commenters need to realize that she's not, like, she's in recovery. And she's trying to do better, and she,
right.
And OP has faith in her.
Right. Also, Wrestling Mama said earlier something about like, oh shoot, I moved furniture into Raising Cane's. I own a restaurant.
Yeah. Have you been checking up on that?
Yeah. Have you been getting your checks in?
Yeah. Have they been sending you checks? Because you probably have a lot of, money.
That's a big business.
I think I'm going to have a family talk with them after the weekend is over. And hopefully I'll find out where this is all coming from and how to deal with it. OP clarifies, thank you, but like I said in other comments, I believe my parents' behavior is primarily out of stress about Lana than genuine hostility or poor parenting. I should have been clear in my post that Lana does not have a felony for DUI. She has 2 misdemeanors. However, due to time frame, lack of harm to herself and others, and the actual BAC level, she's not a felon in our state. And I wouldn't say I'm successful, but I'm definitely comfortable. But I still have to watch my budget. Other employees, Lana's access to the register. I actually don't have any other employees, which is where I think my parents might be assuming she'll be co-owner, since I run my store almost entirely myself. I say almost because on rare occasions my friends might come in to help move stuff around or do deliveries. As for the register, I have my PayPal hooked up to the card reader, and even if she was paid with cash, I would still know how much is made in a day, and if numbers didn't add up in the very unlikely event, Lana would try to steal from me. As for becoming an enabler, I've been doing my own research on how to help recovering family without enabling them. And I have made it clear to Lana repeatedly, especially with the interview thing, that she will be treated like a normal worker when we're on the clock. One more thought from OP. OP says, thank you, and I'm really proud of her too. Last week, actually, marked her first 3 months without a relapse.
Wow,
that's awesome.
Good job.
That's really exciting. And there is an update. Any other thoughts before we jump in?
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I hope that this update brings conversation with the parents.
Yes.
And apologies. And maybe a understanding between OP and Lana without the parents' involvement.
And maybe even Lana could go to the parents and say, hey, I don't want to be a co-owner.
Yeah, right?
I'm dealing with a lot of stuff right now, and I that is a lot of responsibility for me.
Exactly.
Update. So before I get into the update, I would like to clear some questions that were raised in the comments. I tried my best to answer them all, but I got a lot. First, Lana is not a felon. In our state, her DUIs, that was already read. Second, my parents' behavior was very out of the blue. They're usually very supportive and rational, but I think that the stress of Lana is making them act irrationally. As one commenter put it, they see her working for me as a magic bullet to fix everything. And when I tried to set the boundary of her being an employee rather than a co-owner, they thought I was not going to give her a good job at all. Third, my business is very small. I run it all by myself. And like I said in my first post, most of my money comes from alterations rather than my own designs. Fourth, what I said about Lana not getting the job was heat of the moment frustration when talking to my dad. He was yelling at me over the phone and being incredibly pushy, and it felt like I was talking to a brick wall. I still have full intentions to hire Lana, and the interview for this coming Friday is still on. I just said it to try and get my dad off my back, and I apologize to Lana about even saying it to begin with since it wasn't fair to her. Fifth, some people were implying Lana's drinking had to do with our parents, but it does not. Up until this point, we've never had any major rifts with our family, and we've always been incredibly tight-knit. The reason for her drinking was because of something outside of us. I won't say what, since it is not my place, but our parents have nothing to do with her regular use other than giving both of us the regular use gene. Anyways, here's the update. Lana called me after dinner late last night, and we talked. She spoke with her parents and told me that my suspicions of a lot of this being a stress-filled misunderstanding were correct, and she invited me over this morning for breakfast with them all. I got back literal minutes ago as I'm writing this. It was pretty awkward at first. Our parents were still on this high horse about Lana getting a good position. However, we were able to talk it out. Lana explained how she doesn't feel ready for such a position while she's still recovering, and how it would make her feel like she's leeching off of me. She also pointed out that their pushiness was impacting her and my relationship, and stressing her out more since she felt like she had to pick a side. She appreciated their concern. However, as she pointed out, that concern was coming at a detriment to all of us. I told them how I felt like they didn't respect my business and how hurtful their words and actions were, especially my dad yelling at me, as raised voices have always been something I'm sensitive about. I explained my perspective of how I didn't want to stress out Lana with a position she really isn't ready for, nor does she have the experience for, and it felt like I was getting punished for trying to help her out. I brought up what another commenter said about how it was like expecting me to put her on the lease of my apartment she doesn't even live in.
Exactly.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
This is great. This is exactly what we said to do.
We've got
Yeah.
communication going.
Yeah.
Huzzah.
Huzzah. Look at you guys go. And I'm glad that Lana's involved in this conversation too.
Me too.
My parents really took some time to think over what Lana and I were saying while they made breakfast. When we sat down to eat, they apologized to us and explained that they were terrified of Lana having another relapse. Apparently, before we were born, my mom's cousins suffered from regular use and mental health, which eventually led to her downfall, and they were terrified that the same might happen to Lana. This was why they were pushing for a more permanent position. It was a hard talk, but those were the important bits. It ended with some tears from my mom and so many apologies. We've all agreed it would be good to look into family therapy. Lana is already seeing a regular use psychologist and plans to consult them about good family support groups and therapists at her next session. My parents keep occasionally texting me asking if I need help with anything and if I'm okay, which is their way of apologizing even more. By the way, you should apologize for not listening to full episodes of stories just like this, because you can find them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or iHeartRadio if you just search up OK Storytime. It's so easy.
So easy, guys.
easy.
You should be so sorry for not doing it already.
But there is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
I think this is great.
Yeah.
Great job.
10 out of 10. You really killed it.
Yeah, we've got family. It
You
makes sense.
unalived it.
Like, I feel like that's happened to me before in my family
Yeah.
where I'm just like, I don't understand you, parents. And
Yeah.
then they're like, actually, this really sad thing happened, and I'm terrified. And I'm like,
oh.
okay, I get it now.
Mhm.
You know? And so it's like that's like, that makes a lot of sense, and it's good communication.
Agreed.
Good job.
10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
This interview between Lana and I is still on, and I've already set some boundaries with her about what it means working under me to ensure she has structure without enabling her. When we get the therapist, I'll also be speaking with them for more tips. I'm a bit surprised things resolved this fast, but not really. My family and lingering tension is like oil and water. None of us can ever go to bed upset. I think things are going to be weird for a while, but in the end, I think it'll be all right. I'm excited to work with Lana, and I'm nervous, but eager to start family therapy since I think it will be good for all of us. Thank you all for your kind comments and support. Other than responding to comments, this will probably be the last post I make, since I just made this account to get advice. Thank you. And one commenter says, "This is a great update. Thanks for posting it. Best wishes to Lana, if you can pass this on from a stranger on the internet, and great respect to you." OP says, "I will, but I think my family would freak out if they knew I posted about our squabbles on the internet. LOL. I'll tell her you're just a friend." And that's the end of that story, folks.